Chapter 9:17. This place still belonged to the soul-seizing palace's sphere of influence. The Shangguan family happened to be close to this area, and Su Yu could not shirk his responsibility. After 3 days, Su Yu crossed a long river. Su Yu had a deep impression of this river, as it was called the Ice-Sealed River. Back then, when he had broken through to the fairy realm, he had been chased by the 5 golden light guards and narrowly escaped death. It was also at this river that he had met Zixuan and resolved the crisis. As he swept his gaze across the river, Su Yu recalled that when he left the Red Blood Palace, Zixuan was nowhere to be seen, and he couldn't even bid farewell to her. It would be difficult for them to meet again in the future. Su Yu did not forget that there was a familiar influence near the river. It was the Situ family, which was ranked 3rd, second only to the Shangguan family. It was thanks to the Situ family that Su Yu was able to enter the Red Blood Palace to train until now. On the way to the Shangguan clan, they would have to pass through the Situ clan's sky castle. 3 days later, Su Yu discovered an island that was floating in the sky from afar. Endless waterfalls fell from the 9 heavens and surged towards the vast land below. It was a magnificent sight. The Situ family occupied a fairyland in the human world when it came to the spiritual beauty of the mountains. He did not intend to go to the Situ clan. Firstly, after half a year, the Situ clan's madam might not remember Su Yuxian, a junior. Secondly, time was of the essence, and he had no time to waste in the Situ clan. With a thought, Su Yu passed by the castle in the sky. Just as he was about to leave, a few figures flew towards him. "Hey, Junior Martial Brother Su, why are you here?" The newcomer's skin was pale and his expression was weak, as if he was suffering from a serious illness. Su Yu was startled. "Senior Brother Shanliang?" The person who had just arrived was Bai Shanliang, and he was accompanied by Gongsun Wuxie, who was full of grievances, and a few outer sanctum disciples. However, Bai Shanliang was not their leader. Instead, it was Palace Mistress Kong Chan who was leading them. "Greetings, Palace Mistress Kong Chan." Su Yu's heart was moved, but he still wore an indifferent expression as he went forward to greet her. Palace Mistress Kong Chan was slightly surprised. "Why are you in the Situ clan? Could it be that you've received Palace Master Hua's order to come to the Situ clan? What was going on? Weren't they supposed to help the Shangguan clan? Why would Palace Mistress Kong Chan lead her people to the Situ clan?" Rolling his eyes, Su Yu said, "I'm going to the Shangguan family, and the Situ family is just passing by." Palace Mistress Kong Chan was enlightened. "So that's how it is. If that's the case, you don't have to go to the Shangguan clan, just stay with us and guard the Situ clan." Without waiting for Su Yu's explanation, Palace Mistress Kong Chan led her people and descended above the sky castle. The mighty momentum shook the entire island. The people on the island were startled and flew out, while Madame Situ's eyes lit up with delight. She flew out and greeted her respectfully. "Greetings, Palace Mistress Kong Chan. Please forgive me for not welcoming you earlier." "Let's talk inside," Palace Mistress Kong Chan said as she waved her hand. The group of 10 people entered the island one after another under the reverent gazes of the Situ family. "Junior Brother Su, I haven't seen you in 4 months. I'm in awe of all the earth-shattering things you've done." Bai Shanliang squeezed over and coughed twice. Su Yu raised his brows. "Senior Brother Shanliang, you must be joking. In Tianya City, I was just lucky to have met a senior who could help me. How could it be earth-shattering?" Bai Shanliang shook his head like a rattledrum. No. Senior brother, you're right. I can't believe you gave a merit worth 3 million merit points to Bing Wuxin. TSK, I really couldn't tell that junior brother Su was such a hot-blooded person. You actually loved junior sister Bing so deeply." Su Yu had initially wanted to give the merit points to Bing Wuxin, then flee far away from the faction and never have anything to do with the Red Blood Palace again. Hence, he had never imagined such a scene. "Cough, Senior Brother Shanliang, you're overthinking it. Senior Sister Bing is in urgent need of 1,000,000 merit points, and I don't lack them for the time being, so. Su Yu explained. Ah, that's even more incredible. Senior Brother Su, you didn't hesitate to give up 1,000,000 merit points just to win the beauty's heart. Such boldness is a role model for all the men in the Red Blood Palace to learn from. Bai Shanliang said loudly, his eyes filled with longing. The students who had come with him stared at Su Yu's back with deep respect. Emperors, kings, and generals loved beauties more than they loved their country. Su Yu was speechless. He had given the merit points to Bing Wuxin because he didn't need them anymore, and Bing Wuxin was in urgent need of 1,000,000. He hadn't expected such a misunderstanding to occur. Senior brother, you've really misunderstood. My relationship with her isn't. Su Yu said hurriedly. Without waiting for him to explain, Bai Shanliang smiled and patted Su Yu's shoulder. Haha, junior brother, you don't need to be in such a hurry to clear your name. Unless you're planning to leave the faction and don't care about merit points, then you can just give away 3,000,000 merit points. Otherwise, even the inner sanctum's left and right palace masters wouldn't be able to give away such a huge amount of merit points so easily. Su Yu's heart thumped, and he felt slightly guilty. Up until now, no one had noticed that Su Yu was planning to leave the faction except for the smart woman, Xuelian. If he was exposed, Su Yu would surely be captured and brought back to the faction alive. At that time, once they started suspecting him, many of his secrets would be exposed. Su Yu opened his mouth, but he didn't know what to say. Hee, junior brother, when you return to the faction, I suggest that you formally propose marriage to Bing Wuxin's family and make her your fiancée. Only then can you completely put an end to those inner sanctum geniuses' delusions, Bai Shanliang said. Su Yu laughed dryly. He didn't retort, nor did he agree. Humph, he can't wait for that to happen. Gongsun Wuxia had emerged from the crowd and snorted with her head held high. In her opinion, all of this was Su Yu's way of getting close to Bing Wuxin. Su Yu glanced at her. He still couldn't understand why Gongsun Wuxia's attitude toward him was getting worse. Shaking his head softly, Su Yu said, Senior brother Shanliang, didn't the faction send an order for all the people nearby to rush to the Shangguan family? Why did Palace Master Kongchan bring you all to the Situ family? Bai Shanliang stroked his chin and said, because when we rushed over, the influences that besieged the Shangguan family had already dispersed. We have limited manpower, and some of us have to stay behind to guard the Shangguan family and take care of the many injured people. So, we can't spare more people to search for the traces of the hidden influences. So, Palace Master Kongchan came to the Situ family to borrow some strong men and use their power to search. So that was the reason. Hearing that the Shangguan family's crisis had been averted, Su Yu heaved a sigh of relief. Palace Master Kongchan's borrowing of soldiers was exactly what the Situ family wanted. How many families would want to give a deputy palace master of the outer sanctum a favor? In the future, if the Situ family needed help, Palace Master Kongchan would surely lend them a hand. An hour later, the Situ family had lent 18 late-stage fairies and more than 100 middle-stage fairies, which was equivalent to more than half of the Situ family's strength. Bai Shanliang, Gongsun Wuxia, and Su Yuxian, the three of you will stay in the Situ family. The rest of you follow me, Palace Master Kongchan said. Her purpose here was to make the Situ family feel at ease. Any family would feel uneasy when half of their strength was borrowed. Leaving Bai Shanliang, the three most outstanding disciples of the outer sanctum, with the Situ family was to make the family feel at ease. If the most outstanding disciples of the outer sanctum were to stay with the Situ family, what else was there to worry about? The people of the Situ family looked much more at ease, and they warmly invited Su Yu and the other two to enter. Haha, these two must be the Demon Mountain's eastern evil and western poison. I've heard a lot about you. After watching Palace Master Kongchan leave, Lady Situ personally received Su Yu and the other two. Her beautiful eyes swept over the three of them, and she immediately recognized Gongsun Wuxie and Bai Shanliang. Both of them were famous disciples of the outer sanctum, and they had great reputations. "May I know who this is?" Lady Sidu looked at Su Yu, and a sense of unfamiliarity flashed in her eyes. It was as if she had seen him somewhere before. She had indeed forgotten about Su Yu. First of all, it had been half a year. How could Lady Situ, who was the head of the family, remember Su Yu? Second, Su Yu's cultivation had changed greatly. Back then, he was just a kid who had just broken through to the first-grade fairy, but now, he was a sixth-grade fairy. "I'm Su Yuxian." "Nice to meet you, Lady Situ," Su Yu said calmly. Su Yuxian. Lady Situ pondered for a moment, and a figure gradually appeared in her mind. Then, she said in surprise, "It's you? The Su Yuxian who entered the outer sanctum with the first place in the outer sanctum's recruitment assessment half a year ago?" What she did not say in front of everyone was that Situ Yen had only been able to enter the outer sanctum because of Su Yu's protection. This was a secret between her and Su Yu. "It's been a long time, Lady Situ," Su Yu said with a smile. Lady Situ looked Su Yu up and down again, her eyes filled with disbelief. "Unbelievable! In just half a year your cultivation has reached the sixth-grade fairy." She felt even more regret in her heart. Su Yu had shown outstanding talent during the external recruitment assessment. Now, it seemed like he was more than just outstanding. He was obviously a rare genius. If she had kept him in the Situ family earlier, she would have gotten a powerful ally. "Madam, you flatter me," Su Yu said calmly. Lady Situ stared at Su Yu and sighed silently. She then beckoned with her hand and said, "Come in, all of you. I'm going to activate the Great Defensive Formation." Half of the Situ family's strength had been diverted away, so they were at their weakest. Activating the Great Defensive Formation was a targeted move. Buzz, buzz. All of a sudden, the spiritual energy of heaven and earth trembled. The spiritual energy within a radius of 10,000 miles surged toward the Situ family, forming a circular defensive shield. Under the effect of the formation, the spiritual energy that surged toward them burned and turned into a fireball, engulfing the Situ family. With the heat emitted by the flames, even the early stage Almighty might not dare to barge in. Su Yu took a look at the burning spiritual energy and asked curiously, "Madam, the crystals consumed by the Great Formation are not a small number, are they?" Lady Situ had special expectations for Su Yu, unlike Bai Shanliang and Gongsun Wuxie. She smiled sweetly and said, "Yes, to attract such a massive amount of spiritual energy, the spiritual energy consumed is certainly an astronomical figure. Every hour, 100,000 crystals are consumed. In a day, the Situ family's annual income will be depleted. Although the sacrifice is great, the blessed and heavenly lands haven't been peaceful lately. Many families are being threatened by unknown influences. Activating the formation for a day to protect the family's safety is worth it," Lady Situ said. Moreover, they were working for the Red Blood Palace. She believed that the Red Blood Palace would not mistreat the Situ family in this regard. Su Yu nodded. For some reason, he felt that something was amiss. Standing before the formation and staring at the burning fireball, Su Yu said, "Senior brother Shanliang, can you tell me again about what happened to the Shangguan family?" There were only a few words in the jade communication pendant. Bai Shanliang was puzzled. After coughing twice, he said, "According to Cabinet Master Kongchan, a group of extremely powerful, mysterious people attacked the Shangguan family after receiving a distress message from them." Chapter 9:18. Their power is on par with the Shangguan families. The strongest among them are level 4 Almighty, while the weakest are fairies. Both sides are engaged in an intense battle, and both sides have suffered casualties. The Shangguan family is on the defensive, and they have suffered more casualties than any of them. When we arrived with our reinforcements, the people who were besieging the Shangguan clan couldn't hold on any longer, so they retreated and fled in different directions. That's why Cabinet Master Kongchan came to the Situ clan, which was the nearest place, to ask for reinforcements. Bai Shanliang said. Su Yu squinted his eyes, and a stern look gradually appeared in his eyes. He said seriously, there is indeed a problem. Upon hearing this, Bai Shanliang stared at Su Yu and asked, Junior brother, why do you say that? Su Yu came back to his senses and looked at Lady Situ. With a solemn look on his face, he said, Lady Situ, please gather all the people in the family who are capable of fighting immediately and prepare for battle. His abrupt words made the people of the Situ clan shudder. They, who had been anxious and restless for a long time, immediately tensed up. What do you mean? Lady Situ asked with a frown. Su Yu looked at the Situ family, which had become much more spacious, and said in a deep voice, You've been tricked. The enemy's real target is not the Shangguan family, but you, the Situ family. Su Yu's eyes shone with a shrewd light. What? The Situ family was the real target of that group of people? Lady Situ didn't dare to be careless, nor did she dare to let her family fall into a state of panic. She scolded him softly, Please explain it clearly. If it makes sense, I will arrange for the members of my family to fight. This is to prevent unfounded guesses and panic. Su Yu looked at the giant fireball formation and said seriously, I received news 3 days ago that the Shangguan family has been besieged for several days, and it has been going on for 6 to 7 days. Who do you think would be so careless as to continuously attack a clan for 6 to 7 days without any confidence? It should be known that it would only take 3 days for the Red Blood Palace's experts to arrive at the Shangguan family's residence. Moreover, the disciples who were on a mission in the vicinity would have even less time. Aren't they afraid that the Red Blood Palace's experts will rush over and kill them if they fail to attack the Shangguan family? So, they don't actually want to attack the Shangguan family. Instead, they are trying to deceive people. Su Yu's mind was extremely clear. Lady Situ pondered and said, I still don't understand. What are they trying to do? Su Yu said, They have already done what they wanted to do. He pointed at the defensive formation, and at the Shangguan clan, which had lost half of its power. All of a sudden, Lady Situ seemed to have understood something, and her pretty face changed in shock. You're saying that they're actually creating a diversion, pretend to attack the Shangguan family and lure the Red Blood Palace's people over, then seize the opportunity to attack the Situ family? Su Yu nodded. Moreover, they deliberately injured the people of the Shangguan family but didn't kill them, resulting in a large number of injured people. The strong men of the Red Blood Palace who went there had no choice but to allocate a large number of people to take care of the injured, resulting in a lack of manpower to search for them. Hence, the Red Blood Palace naturally borrowed soldiers from the Situ family, which was the nearest family, causing the Situ family to be in a weakened state. Everything is a trick that they have carefully arranged. These words caused the entire place to fall into a deathly silence. Many of the Situ family members felt a chill run down their spines. Su Yu's analysis was clear and logical. With the Situ clan having lost half of its combat strength, wouldn't it be the easiest time to capture them? The enemy's real target was not the Shangguan clan, but the Situ clan. Lady Situ's beautiful face fell, and her body trembled slightly. After a brief moment of absent-mindedness, she immediately said, Send my order. All fairy-level members of the Situ clan are to prepare for battle. As she spoke, Lady Situ took out a communication jade pendant, muttered a few words into it, then tossed it away. The jade pendant disappeared into the void, sending a message to Cabinet Master Kongchan, who had just left not long ago. However, after the jade pendant crossed the formation of fireballs, it fell out of the void. Its light dimmed, and it fell to the ground, shattering into pieces. Someone is setting up a formation outside, interfering with the transmission. Lady Situ's face fell, and her face turned pale. Everyone's hearts sank as they waited for the jade pendant to shatter. Someone was really playing tricks. The student of the Red Blood Palace was right. We are being targeted. Who did it? How did they do it? Didn't Cabinet Master Kongchan notice the formation when she was here? Which expert set up this formation? We're doomed. We're doomed. The jade pendant can't be sent out, and the Situ family is going to be besieged. Don't panic, Lady Situ yelled softly. Her former dignity was playing a big role now, and the panicking people quietened down a little. All of you, take out your communication jade pendants and send a message to Cabinet Master Kongchan. Then, choose different directions and toss the jade pendant. Upon receiving the order, thousands of people obeyed. However, as the crashing sounds continued to be heard, everyone's hearts became heavier than before. I can't believe all of them have failed. We are surrounded. Panic rose again. Lady Situ's eyes darkened and she bellowed, "All of you, shut up. The enemy hasn't even arrived yet, and you're already panicking. If they really come, won't you all be at their mercy?" The crowd quieted down quickly, or rather, they were trying hard to suppress the fear in their hearts. Ghost Shadow-san, lead the 10 men of sacrifice that you've been training and break out of the siege in different directions. I believe that once you've escaped a certain range, you'll be able to leave the formation's influence. Then, send a message immediately. Cabinet Master Kongchan must know the situation of the Situ family, and ask him to lead half of the Situ family back to rescue us immediately. Swish! A gust of wind sounded, and a black residual shadow appeared silently beside Lady Situ. Its speed was so fast that no one below the almighty level could catch it. Su Yu was slightly taken aback. What a fast speed! He was afraid that this person had the body movement technique of a 5th grade almighty. This person's cultivation was only 2nd grade almighty, but his body movement technique was extremely brilliant. Then, another 10 black residual shadows appeared beside Lady Situ, and they all had the body movement technique of a 3rd grade almighty. The Situ family has been training this breakout team in secret. They must have had foresight. Su Yu nodded to himself. To be able to become a great influence in the 18 blessed and heavenly lands, all of them had prepared for a rainy day. Rest assured, my lady. Ghost Shadow-san accepted the order and turned into a wisp of black residual light, disappearing into the formation. The other 10 people also chose a direction to break out of the siege one after another. Their goal wasn't to fight the unknown enemy, but to escape. Among the 11 of them, even if only one managed to escape, it would be enough. With the speed of 10 3rd grade almighty and 1 5th grade almighty, unless the enemy had an endless number of troops, it would be impossible to intercept all of them. Bang! However, not long after they had left, a body fell from the clouds, crashing onto the formation of the castle in the sky. It was set ablaze and crashed onto the island. The chest of the corpse had been torn apart, and it looked extremely tragic. It was one of the 10 people, wasn't it? Someone is ambushing in the depths of the clouds. The people of the Situ family gasped. It had only been a breath's time, and one of the people who had broken out of the siege had been killed. Faintly, a black figure could be seen moving in the depths of the clouds. Bang! At that moment, another figure fell from the sky, turning into a fireball and crashing onto the island. Bang! Bang! 4, 5, 6. Suddenly, a rain of people fell from the sky. One by one, the black figures were torn apart and thrown down from the depths of the sky. Every time one of them was thrown down, the faces of the people of the Situ family darkened. 9, 10. Lady Situ's pretty face turned pale, and she stared at the thick clouds in the sky. She was terrified and angry. Who is it? Who's the one hiding? Come out! Haha, I'm not hiding. It's just that you're stupid and can't see me. A cold sneer came from the depths of the clouds. Shortly after, masses of black shadows suddenly appeared in the depths of the clouds. They were densely packed, and it was as if countless locusts were flying in the depths of the clouds. At the same time, all sorts of sharp cries were heard, accompanied by a massive spiritual pressure that swept across the sky. Strong winds howled and formed tornadoes that blew away all the clouds within a 1,000-mile radius, revealing the true faces of the countless black shadows. Everyone gasped when they saw the scene clearly. Those were not locusts, nor were they human shadows. They were enormous, ferocious birds. The weakest among them was a first-grade fairy, while the strongest was a fifth-grade almighty. Moreover, there were 5 fourth-grade almighty ferocious birds, while there were no less than 100 third-grade almighty, second-grade almighty, and first-grade almighty birds. As for the fairy-level ferocious birds, it was impossible to estimate their numbers. There were at least 10,000 of them. Fierce cries resounded incessantly. Wisps of cruel, bloodthirsty aura, shocking spiritual pressure, and dense, black clouds of ferocious birds covered the sky, plunging everyone into despair. How could the Outer Sanctum disciples resist such an attack? Unless all the Outer Sanctum disciples were mobilized, they would all be sent to their deaths and become food for the ferocious birds. They no longer hoped that Cabinet Master Kong-chan would return with reinforcements. Even if she did, it wouldn't help the situation. Even a 6th-grade almighty like Cabinet Master Kong-chan would die tragically when faced with an army of more than 10,000 ferocious birds. They even suspected that Cabinet Master Kong-chan might have perished. If Cabinet Master Kong-chan and the others were to encounter such a massive flock of ferocious birds, they would be devoured by the flood of ferocious birds in an instant. Su Yu's pupils contracted as he took a deep breath. Apart from the Red Blood Palace and the Purple Cloud Palace, no faction in the blessed and heavenly lands could survive such a massive flock of demonic beasts. How could there be such a terrifying force hidden in the blessed and heavenly lands, and no one had noticed it? It was no wonder that the third-ranked family had been wiped out overnight. Now that he thought about it, it was possible that even factions like the Soul-Seizing Palace and the Gue Yuan faction had been wiped out overnight by the flood of ferocious birds. Among all the ferocious birds, a golden eagle with a pair of sharp eyes was the most eye-catching. It seemed like the king of all ferocious birds. All the almighty ferocious birds were flying around it. Standing on its back was a purple-clothed youth with his hands clasped behind his back. His eyes were filled with evil. Lady Sidhu's body trembled slightly. Despair filled every corner of her heart. She had lost the will to fight back. To be precise, she didn't know how to fight back. Even the Sidhu family at its peak couldn't fight back against the flood of ferocious birds, let alone now. The people of the Sidhu family were also in despair. Some of the more cowardly ones had already lost all strength in their legs, and some had even collapsed onto the ground. At that moment, a warm feeling came from her palm. A gentle and powerful voice echoed in her ears and heart. Lady Sidhu, pull yourself together. If you lose your will to fight, the Sidhu family will have even less hope. Hope? Lady Sidhu sobered up slightly. She lowered her head to look at the palm that was holding her palm. It was old, but warm and powerful. It felt like the palm of a young man. When she looked up, she saw an old face with a sage-like demeanor. It was calm and firm, as if it wouldn't change even if the sky collapsed. There's still hope. Lady Sidhu's voice was hoarse and low because of her despair. Chapter 9:19. Is it because he's afraid of the great defensive formation? Lady Sidhu regained some of her composure. Just as Su Yu had said, she was the pillar of the Sidhu family. Anyone could panic, but she couldn't. Su Yu looked at the formation and nodded slightly. Yes, it must be the formation that he's afraid of. Although there are many ferocious birds, only 5 4th-grade almighty and 1 5th-grade almighty ferocious bird can break in. No matter how many other ferocious birds come, they'll be like moths flying into a flame, seeking their own destruction. We just need to guard against those 6 birds and hold on for a while. When the Red Blood Palace sends reinforcements from the inner sanctum, they'll retreat on their own, Su Yu analyzed. Lady Sidhu gradually calmed down and said, yes, although 10 of them were killed, Ghost Shadow-san escaped and may have already sent a message to Cabinet Master Kong-chan. Even if Cabinet Master Kongchan is unable to help, she can inform the inner sanctum of the Red Blood Palace and ask for reinforcements. All they had to do was hold on to the formation and wait for reinforcements. Ghost Shadow San had already escaped and must have informed Cabinet Master Kongchan. As long as they held on, they would win. The 6 powerful ferocious birds were indeed powerful, but with the remaining combat power of the Sidhu family, they could still resist them. She tilted her head to look at Suyu. It was as if she was infected by his calmness and calmness. Suddenly, she felt her palm loosen. Suyu had let go of her after confirming that she had calmed down. The residual warmth made Lady Sidhu turn her head away unnaturally, her pretty face blushing slightly. It wasn't because she was moved by Suyu, but because she was an elder, yet she was being comforted by a junior like a young girl. Suyu Xian is right. Now is not the time to retreat. Hold on to the formation, and we still have hope. Lady Sidhu regained her composure and ordered the strong men of all levels in the family to take care of the 6 ferocious birds' intrusion. After the arrangements were made, she looked at Su Yu and the other 2. The 3 of you follow the young students of the family into the house to hide. Leave the outside to my people. If the 3 outstanding students of the outer sanctum died in the Sidhu family, they wouldn't be able to explain it to the Red Blood Palace. Ahem, madam, it's alright to look down on Wuxian me, but it's unwise to look down on junior brother Su. You probably don't know how powerful junior brother Su is. Bai Shanliang coughed out a mouthful of blood. Lady Sidhu was surprised, and she looked at Su Yu once again. She wondered, does he really have the ability to contend with the 4th grade or 5th grade almighty demonic birds? He must have cultivated some kind of powerful movement technique, right? Lady Sidhu took it for granted. You don't have to worry for the time being. My clansmen can still handle the situation, and when I really need your help, I will ask for your help. What do you think? Lady Sidhu rejected them tactfully. She didn't think that their battle prowess could be of much help. The enemy was too powerful, and the 3 fairies' power was like a drop in the bucket. This was especially the case for Su Yu, who was a level 6 fairy, and it would be difficult for him to resist the Divine Master Ferocious Bird's attacks. After she spoke, Lady Sidhu stared coldly at the evil purple-clothed youth. No matter who you are, as long as I'm alive, don't even think about destroying my Sidhu family. She had taken over the clan's heavy responsibility from her late husband, so she absolutely could not watch the Sidhu clan be destroyed in her hands. His resolute words inspired the members of the Sidhu family. However, the corners of the sinister purple-clothed youth's mouth curled into a mocking arc. You're too confident in the Sidhu clan's formation. Lady Sidhu sneered and said, if you have the ability, then come in. When the Red Blood Palace's army arrives, you won't even have the chance to escape. She was only using the Red Blood Palace's name to threaten them. She didn't expect them to retreat in the face of difficulties, but it was good to buy time. With the speed of the inner sanctum's strong men, once they received the news, they would surely send their troops here within a day. Are you still hoping that Ghost Shadow-san will help you spread the news? To Lady Sidhu's surprise, the sinister purple-clothed youth mocked her indifferently. Lady Sidhu's face changed slightly, and she said in surprise, wait. How do you know that the person who escaped is called Ghost Shadow-san? Right at that moment, a sneer suddenly came from below them. What do you think, my Lady Sidhu? As soon as the words were spoken, a cold wind was set off, and an extremely terrifying speed was comparable to the speed of sound was raised. Lady Sidhu had just heard the voice when a black remnant line approached her from behind. The person had appeared from within the Sidhu family's formation, and she had been completely focused on Lady Sidhu, who was above her, so she wasn't prepared at all. By the time she reacted, her back had suffered a heavy blow. The excruciating pain spread to her internal organs. Lady Sidhu was severely injured, and she couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood. Her body was also sent flying. But it wasn't over yet. The moment she was sent flying, the remnant shadow grabbed a fiery red dragon-shaped jade seal from her sleeve. It was the magical artifact that controlled the Sidhu family's great flame formation. As long as the dragon-shaped jade seal was inserted into the eye of the formation would automatically shut down, and the flames would automatically dissipate. Oh no! Lady Sidhu's face changed drastically, and she struck a palm behind her as she was sent flying. The palm contained the power of a fourth-grade almighty, and it bombarded the air behind her with a loud explosion. However, the strike missed. A black remnant shadow dodged the palm nimbly and cleverly, then appeared 1,000 feet away from Lady Sidhu. He held the dragon-shaped jade seal in his hand, and stared at Lady Sidhu mockingly. Lady Sidhu looked over, and her beautiful eyes shrank. "It's you, Ghost Shadow San." He had been sent to rush out of the encirclement to deliver the news, but he had snuck back without anyone noticing, and seized the opportunity to attack her, taking away the dragon-shaped jade seal that controlled the formation. Without a doubt, Ghost Shadow San had betrayed her. "Haha, Lady Sidhu, don't tell me you think that I led the demonic beast army to besiege the Sidhu family without any preparation?" The evil purple-clothed youth laughed evilly. Lady Sidhu's heart sank, and she stared at Ghost Shadow San. "Why did you do this? Although you're a guard of the Sidhu family has never treated you badly over the years. Not only did they provide you with elixirs, but they also helped you find the best flying technique. That's why you're where you are today." She had never expected that the strong man that the Sidhu family had cultivated for decades would betray her overnight. "Haha, lady, the Sidhu family has indeed treated me well, but unfortunately, my life is more important. The Sidhu family is about to be annihilated, so why should I sacrifice my life for you?" Ghost Shadow San said calmly. "You wouldn't expect me, an outsider, to use my life to protect the blood of the Sidhu family, would you? You're twisting words and forcing logic. If the formation is still here, the ferocious birds outside can't enter at all. How can you say that the family will be annihilated? You're not protecting yourself, you're obviously trying to annihilate the Sidhu royal family," Lady Sidhu said sternly. Ghost Shadow San sighed and shook his head. He looked at all the people of the Sidhu family with pity. "You don't even know who wants to annihilate you. This demonic beast army is just the tip of the iceberg." In the sky, the evil purple-clothed youth shouted coldly, "Why are you still talking nonsense with them? Close the formation immediately." Ghost Shadow San nodded, turned into a residual shadow, and flew toward the center of the formation. There, among the flames that filled the sky, there was a palm-sized notch that could fit the dragon-shaped jade seal. It was where the eye of the formation was. Once the jade seal was stuffed in, the formation would close automatically. The flood of ferocious birds would no longer be obstructed, and they would come whistling down. No one in the Sidhu family would be spared, and it would become a feast for the ferocious birds. Lady Sidhu's pupils shrank to the extreme. "Quick! Stop him!" The moment of life and death for the Sidhu family had arrived. She chased after him with all her might, but she was only a fourth-grade almighty, so her movement technique was not good. Moreover, she was also seriously injured. The distance between them increased rapidly, and there was no time to stop him. The people of the Sidhu family were far inferior to Ghost Shadow San in terms of their movement technique. Hundreds of people chased after him, but they could only watch helplessly as Ghost Shadow San approached the eye of the formation with the dragon-shaped jade seal in his hand. At this moment, everyone felt like they had fallen into an ice cellar, and a great catastrophe was about to befall them. Ghost Shadow San's betrayal had led to the annihilation of the Sidhu family. "I'm sorry, Sidhu family." Ghost Shadow San looked back at the people of the Sidhu family, who had been left far behind. "Don't blame me, I had no choice." However, at this moment, Ghost Shadow San's warning signs sounded, as if some kind of crisis was about to befall him. He looked up abruptly and felt a terrible heat coming toward him. Then, a fiery red light flickered, and a pair of flaming wings appeared 10 feet in front of him. Before he could realize what was going on, he felt a cold sensation in his chest, accompanied by a stabbing pain. A small golden sword silently pierced through his heart, and flew back to the palm of the person in front of him with fresh blood. Feeling his life fading away, Ghost Shadow-san looked at his bleeding chest in disbelief and mumbled, "Who is it?" The Sidhu family had hidden a strong man whose movement technique was not inferior to his own. He had been so confident, but his efforts had been in vain. Before he closed his eyes, an old face was reflected in Ghost Shadow-san's eyes. It was none other than the outer sanctum student of the Red Blood Palace. The doubts in his heart grew deeper. How could a 6th-grade fairy catch up to him? However, he could only die with a grievance. His body went limp and he fell. Was he forced to destroy his benefactor's family? People always find excuses for themselves, Suyu said calmly, reaching out and retrieving the dragon-shaped jade seal in his palm. Then, Suyu's fiery red wings flew over Ghost Shadow-san's corpse. A miserable scream was heard, and the Divine Master's soul, which could not leave his body in time, was also destroyed. The scene stunned the people of the Sidhu family, who were so angry that their eyes were about to pop out of their sockets, and they were immediately overjoyed. They had thought it was all over, but Suyu had managed to snatch back the jade seal at the last moment. However, before they could rejoice, the evil purple-clothed youth in the sky had a gloomy look on his face. One of the 5 4th-grade almighty ferocious birds that were circling him let out a piercing shriek. It flew through the great formation of flames and headed straight for Suyu, trying to snatch back the jade seal. "Don't even think about it." Lady Sidhu came to her senses and rushed over with the rest of the Sidhu family. Bai Shanliang's face turned pale, and he hurried over immediately. He spat out blood as he flew. Who dares to bully my junior brother? I will spit blood all over his face." "What?" He opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of dark red blood, which turned into a large bloody mist and sprayed toward the 5 almighty ferocious birds that were attacking him. The ferocious birds' eyes were filled with human-like mockery. It ignored the bloody mist and clawed at Bai Shanliang, who was standing in front of it. However, the ferocious bird had just passed through the bloody mist when it suddenly let out a miserable shriek. Its whole body was emitting a crackling sound, and its whole body was rotting continuously. From its feathers to its skin, then to its body, it was melting at an extremely fast speed. When it flew in front of Bai Shanliang, it was badly mutilated, and only a bloody skeleton was left. Chapter 920. Everyone felt their blood run cold. Even someone as strong as a 4th-grade almighty had been melted into nothingness by Bai Shanliang's mouthful of blood mist. Lady Sidhu's eyelids twitched and she gasped. What a terrifying poison! Everyone's hair stood on end. Bai Shanliang had always been called the poison of the West and the heretic of the East, but few people knew that his poison was so terrifying. Suyu shuddered, as this was the first time he had seen Bai Shanliang use deadly poison. Even a 4th-grade almighty had been killed by the poison and turned into a pool of blood. How much deadly poison was hidden in his body? He could probably kill a large number of early-stage Divine Master experts with just a casual spit of his saliva. Cough cough. I've already told you to be careful that I'm going to vomit blood. Why didn't you listen? Sigh. Bai Shanliang's face became even paler, as if he was about to faint. However, judging from his teasing tone, he was still very lively. In the sky, the purple-clothed youth frowned. The people of the Sidhu family had already rushed over to protect Suyu. They had failed to snatch the dragon-shaped jade seal. Lady Sidhu retrieved the dragon-shaped jade seal from Suyu's hands and bowed solemnly. "Mr. Su, I'm very grateful to you on behalf of the Sidhu family." Suyu waved his hand. "Now is not the time to talk about this. Keep the Imperial Jade seal well, just in case they try to play dirty again." After a series of twists and turns, the crisis was averted. However, the purple-robed young man in the sky did not stop there. He did not leave either. Instead, he stood on the ferocious bird, as if he was waiting for something. For the time being, both sides were safe and sound. However, everyone could sense that an even greater storm was about to descend. Who is he waiting for? Lady Situ had a bad premonition. Suyu nodded. All right, Madam has already made arrangements. After that, Suyu, Bai Shanliang, and Gongsun Wuxie returned to the mansion and took turns to rest. While he was resting, Suyu took out the 6 demons' incredible elixir. This pill could be said to be the #1 Devil Dao profound pill. The demonic energy contained within was astonishing and not to be underestimated. What Suyu lacked was demonic energy. Suyu informed them of his intention to undergo a short period of isolated training, and the Situ family provided him with a top-notch secret chamber. Since the great battle was imminent, Suyu immediately went into seclusion and started to cultivate the 9 dragons' devil-subduing art. The elixir's potency was too great, and it was not something that Suyu could digest. Hence, he could only use a method that would infuriate both men and gods. The 6 demons' incredible elixir, which many of the demonic cultivators yearned for, was shattered by Suyu with a single slap. Then, he used his zhenqi to divide the powder into 10 equal parts. Suyu took out a portion of the powder, placed it between his palms, and started absorbing the demonic energy within it. Before long, a strand of demonic energy was extracted from the powder like a strand of hair, and it slowly entered Suyu's palm. Then, it entered Suyu's internal energy channel and flowed toward his chest. After an hour, when the black powder on Suyu's palm had turned pale white, Suyu stopped. The devil chi in the powder was completely extracted, and it was equivalent to 1/10 of the devil's hair of the past. What confused Suyu was that, compared to the demonic energy in the devil's hair, the demonic energy in the 6 demons' incredible core was far less pure. Thus, although the quantity was 1/10 of the devil's hair, the quality was only 1/20. Suyu took out another portion and continued to extract demonic energy. 2, 3, 4 The outside world could erupt at any moment, but Suyu was training patiently. Finally, after 10 hours, which was half a day, Suyu opened his eyes from his training. He heard 4 loud and clear dragon roars coming from his chest. The first 3 roars were extremely loud, while the last one was slightly weaker. I can't believe that the demonic energy, which is equivalent to half of the devil's hair of the devil, can only condense half of a demonic dragon. Suyu's face was slightly pale, and he looked haggard. The further he went, the more difficult it became to condense the demonic dragon. Although the purity of the demonic energy in the 6 demons' incredible core was not as good as the devil's hair of the devil, its quantity was greater, and the 2 offset each other. It should be equivalent to the effect of half of the devil's hair of the devil. However, it was not even able to condense a demonic dragon completely. Should I use the token of the severed fairy cliff to look for demonic energy treasures? Suyu muttered to himself. Knock, knock. At that moment, someone knocked on the door. The person who opened the stone door was Gongsun Wuxie. She had her arms crossed in front of her chest, and her mouth twitched. She then stuffed a small round wheel that looked like a water wheel into Suyu's hands. This is the glaze vehicle. After you inject vital energy into it, it can burst forth with the speed of a 6th-grade almighty. If you encounter danger, you can use it to escape. This is a one-time consumable, and it can only be used once. Moreover, it will consume half of your vital energy, so you must use it carefully. Suyu held the glaze vehicle in his hands, but his eyes were fixed on Gongsun Wuxie in surprise. He was a little unsure of what she was thinking. One moment she was cold and disgusted with him, and the next moment she was giving him a life-saving treasure. Don't overthink it. I already have someone I like, so I won't fall for you. Gongsun Wuxie seemed to be afraid that Suyu would misunderstand, so she quickly said, "This is to repay you for saving my life. I don't want to owe you a favor, humph." After she finished speaking, she flicked the 2 black whips and turned to leave. Suyu had saved her and Bing Wuxin from the hands of Mo Yang and Ling, and this little girl had always remembered it. Suyu glanced at Gongsun Wuxia with a smile, then kept the glaze vehicle and left the secret chamber to meet up with the people of the Sidhu family in the sky. "Madam, what's the situation? Have they done anything unusual?" Suyu asked. Lady Sidhu frowned. "No, I don't know who he's waiting for, but I have a very bad feeling about it." Suyu stared at the evil purple-clothed youth, and couldn't help but ponder. Could it really be as Ghost Shadow San had said? The flood of ferocious birds before them was just the tip of the iceberg, and he was waiting for reinforcements? Screech. Just as he was pondering, a sharp screech suddenly came from the horizon. A huge black eagle was holding a black talisman in its beak, and the pattern of a hammer was depicted on it. The evil purple-clothed youth opened his eyes, which were filled with joy. When he looked down at the Sidhu family, his eyes were filled with pity. He raised his hand, and the talisman of the black hammer flew from the black eagle's beak into the palm of the evil purple-clothed youth. The formation-breaking hammer. It's the formation-breaking hammer of the Red Blood Palace's inner sanctum, Elder Jing. Why is it here? Bai Shanliang asked in a serious voice. Gongsun Wuxia also said, TSK, this is really strange. How did the talisman drawn by Elder Jing's formation-breaking hammer fall into his hands? Lady Sidhu stared at the black talisman, and her whole body trembled. You mean the formation-breaking hammer that can break all formations? Isn't that Elder Jing's original life treasure? Why is the talisman related to it in their hands? A thought flashed through everyone's mind. Had Elder Jing of the Red Blood Palace betrayed them? Haha, it seems like all of you know about the formation-breaking hammer. I don't need to say more. You should know what will happen to you, right? Your formations can't withstand a blow from this talisman. The evil purple-clothed youth sneered. Lady Sidhu's face turned pale again. The ominous premonition deep in her heart had become reality. The formation would eventually be broken. And the Red Blood Palace didn't know what was happening here. Did the heavens want the Sidhu family to perish? Now, do you have anything else to say? The evil purple-clothed youth fiddled with the talisman as he stared down at them, a murderous look on his face. The people of the Sidhu family clenched their fists, but they didn't dare to speak. The whole place was silent and filled with despair. Everyone, get ready for battle. Lady Sidhu took a deep breath, and a cold light shot out from the depths of her eyes. In the end, even if it was like hitting a rock with an egg, they still had to fight. Although it was a fight to the death. Haha, since you have nothing else to say, it's my turn now. The evil purple-clothed youth's gaze pierced through the formation and fell on Lady Sidhu's alluring figure. The survival of the Sidhu family depends on a single thought of mine. If I want your family to perish, none of you can escape. However, an old friend told me that if Lady Sidhu is willing to agree to one thing, we can let the Sidhu family go. Hearing this, everyone was shocked, and they all looked at Lady Sidhu. They had mobilized so many people just to force the Sidhu family to agree to a certain condition? Lady Sidhu's beautiful eyes froze. What condition? If you take this 7 Emotions Forgotten Worries elixir, then the people of the Sidhu family will pledge allegiance to us, and we will spare your lives. The evil purple-clothed youth took out a pink elixir. Hearing this, everyone frowned. Lady Sidhu's delicate body trembled, and she scolded angrily and shyly, "Ridiculous! I'm a married woman. How can I take this kind of filthy thing?" The 7 Emotions Forgotten Worries elixir was a very famous elixir, and it was mostly used by evil martial artists who cultivated the yin-yang evil technique. As long as a drop of blood essence was dripped on the elixir and given to a woman, the elixir's power would penetrate deep into the woman's soul and make her obey the owner of the blood essence from the depths of her soul. Even if it was an enemy who had a blood feud, once a woman took the elixir, she would become crazily infatuated with the owner of the blood essence. No matter what the owner of the blood essence asked of her, Even if she was asked to die, she would be willing and not hesitate. Evil martial artists usually used the 7 emotions forgotten worries elixir to control beautiful and outstanding women and take their primordial een at will. In this way, they would bind them and turn them into their forbidden objects to vent their evil desires. It could be said that the 7 emotions forgotten worries elixir was synonymous with evil. Women who were forced to take the 7 emotions forgotten worries elixir would become slaves to the owner of the blood essence. Lady Sidhu's husband had been dead for dozens of years, and she was as pure as ice and clean as jade. However, she was forced to take such a shameful elixir. How could she not be ashamed and angry? Speaking of which, although Lady Sidhu was over 40 years old, she was extremely beautiful, not inferior to a woman in her 30s. Her figure was voluptuous, and her figure was graceful. Her breasts were round and impressive, and her waist was slender. Her jade-like legs were slender and round, and their contours were faintly discernible under her emerald dress. Her appearance was still breathtaking, which had not been completely obliterated by the passage of time. Her eyebrows were exquisite, and her facial features were beautiful. Coupled with her graceful figure, she was exceptionally beautiful. It was said that she was a famous beauty in the blessed and heavenly lands before the new year, and she had many suitors. Even now, her beauty was still there, and there were many people who wanted to lay their hands on her. Su Yu was slightly surprised, and he looked sideways at Lady Sidhu. He had to admit that Lady Sidhu was still a great beauty who could move anyone's heart. In the past, he had also been stunned by her beauty. Humph, Lady Sidhu, do you still have a choice? Either you take this 7 emotions forgotten worries elixir and become my old friend's plaything in bed, or I'll make the Sidhu family bleed because of your rejection. He did not hide the evil intentions of his old friend at all. He only wanted Lady Sidhu to become his plaything to vent his lust. Chapter 921. Shameless! Lady Sidhu trembled with anger. The people of the Sidhu family were also shocked and angry. Lady Sidhu had always been the matriarch of the Sidhu family, but she had been threatened by a villain to become a plaything. The crowd was furious. The evil purple-clothed youth held the talisman in his hand and said calmly, "Ha ha, although I have failed my old friend's trust, if you want to die, I can help you." Then, the evil purple-clothed youth stretched out the talisman in his palm and was about to throw it down. "Wait!" Lady Sidhu shouted. Her beautiful eyes flashed with struggle. After hesitating for a long time, she clenched her teeth and stared at the evil purple-clothed youth. "Can you tell me who your old friend is?" Over the years, many people had coveted her. You want to know? Swallow the 7 emotions forgotten worries pill first. The evil purple-clothed youth threw the pill down. Lady Sidhu gritted her teeth and caught the pill. At this time, the people of the Sidhu family rushed over and shouted, trying to stop her. But she had already made up her mind. "I hope you keep your word." With humiliation in her eyes, Lady Sidhu opened her mouth and swallowed the pill. No one could stop her. Clap, clap. The evil purple-clothed youth clapped his hands and laughed. "Lady Sidhu, you're so brave to sacrifice yourself for your people. I'm really touched. But now I've changed my mind. It's a pity that a beauty like you should die, but it's useless to keep the people of the Sidhu family alive. Let's just use them to fill the stomachs of my babies." Hearing this, Lady Sidhu was furious. She knew that even if she gave in, he might not keep his promise and let all of them go. But she also knew that she had no other choice. If she didn't give in, everyone would die. If she gave in, there was still a glimmer of hope. In the end, he didn't keep his promise. "Haha, when my old friend is tired of playing with you, I also want to have a taste of Wu Shui, one of the top 10 beauties of the blessed and heavenly lands." Wu Shui was Lady Sidhu's original name before she got married. Lady Sidhu's eyes were cold, and she gritted her teeth so hard that it seemed like she was going to break them. "I'd rather die than have my way." Lady Sidhu hit her own abdomen with her palm. She wanted to take advantage of the fact that the elixir's efficacy had yet to be digested to shatter the elixir to prevent herself from being controlled. However, when the 7 Emotions Forgotten Worries pill was swallowed, its medicinal power had already begun to take effect. Her palm stopped an inch away from her abdomen, unable to strike any further. She was clearly controlling her palm with her consciousness, but her palm did not stop, as if it was being controlled by someone else. The look in her eyes gradually softened, and her consciousness dimmed. This was a sign that she was about to be controlled. In just a few breaths, she would be completely controlled by the drug and become the slave of the owner of the 7 Passions Forgotten Worries pill. At that time, she would not hesitate to destroy the Sidhu clan. The evil purple-clothed youth sneered without saying a word, quietly watching the medicinal effect take effect. After controlling the most powerful woman, it would be a feast of slaughter. However, just as Lady Sidhu was about to fall, a palm touched her from behind. Her gradually lost consciousness quickly recovered, and the surging medicinal power in her body receded like the tide. After 3 breaths, the medicinal power in her body, along with the 7 Emotions Forgotten Worries pill, disappeared into thin air. When Lady Sidhu turned around, an old face was right in front of her. "Lady Sidhu, why don't you fight for the fate of your people against the kindness of the enemy?" In the sky, the evil purple-clothed youth's pupils shrank. He was shocked. "How did you do it? The more you suppress the medicinal power of the 7 Emotions Forgotten Worries pill, the more it will explode. Who are you?" He had taken back the dragon-shaped jade seal from Ghost Shadowsan, and he had saved Lady Sidhu. Both of his plans, which he had been confident in, had changed because of this person. He had to re-examine Suyu. The more he looked at Suyu, the more familiar he felt. It was as if he had seen him somewhere before. Suddenly, he remembered. "It's you. That day at the Silver Lake, it was you who reminded the heir of the Shangwan family, so that he could escape?" At that time, he had set up an ambush at a flying demonic beast station, but he had been alerted by this person, so Shangwan Yunk had escaped with the 9 Heavens Great Wave's wings. Suyu looked up at him. In fact, he had recognized this person from the very beginning. It was the beast tamer from that day. "Old thing, you've ruined my plans again and again. I'll kill you first." The evil purple-clothed youth snorted coldly as he threw the talisman in his palm. However, a red light flashed in Suyu's left eye. Before the talisman could explode, it was enveloped by the power of space. The next moment, the space in Suyu's palm fluctuated, and the talisman appeared in his hand. With a swipe of his palm, the vital energy in it was erased, and the talisman, which was on the verge of exploding, returned to normal. Everyone was taken aback by this move. The low-level students were just surprised, not knowing how Suyu had done it. However, only those who had experienced it knew how terrifying it was. Space transportation. Lady Sidhu, by Shanliang, Gongsun Wuxie, and the others all felt their hearts skip a beat as they stared at Suyu. They couldn't hide the shock on their faces. All creation's old monsters were proficient in space, but they could only teleport themselves. However, Suyu had reached the stage of teleporting other objects. What kind of space talent was this? Bai Shanliang and Gongsun Wuxie were especially shocked. They had thought that they had figured out Suyu's hidden trump card, but now they realized that what they knew was only the tip of the iceberg. The evil purple-clothed youth turned pale with fright, and his pupils shrank to the size of needles. Ancient spiritual body, and an innate space body. To master space magic before reaching the level of all creations, only the legendary spiritual bodies who had inherited the bloodline of the ancient era and were born with special talents could do so. As for the space body, it was a unique and powerful spiritual body. Suyu's face was calm. He had already decided to leave the Red Blood Palace, so he wasn't afraid of exposing some of his magical powers. As for the ancient spiritual body that was misunderstood as an innate space body, it was beyond Suyu's expectations. After a long moment of silence, Lady Situ came to her senses. She looked at Suyu, and her heart was in turmoil. An ancient spiritual body, and one with space talent at that, could be considered a spiritual body among spiritual bodies. Would such a person rely on the power of the Situ family because he lacked the opportunity to be recommended into the Red Blood Palace? Despite everyone's doubts, it was undeniable that Suyu had once again saved the Situ family at a critical juncture. After staring at the talisman for a moment, Suyu tossed it into his sleeve and looked up into the depths of the sky. He asked calmly, "Do you have any more tricks up your sleeves?" The evil purple-clothed youth stared at Suyu with a grave look on his face. In the Jojo continent, any ancient spiritual body would be nurtured like a precious treasure by the great influences. Suyu's space spiritual body was even more important, as he must have been chosen by some influence. Now that he had offended him completely, if he was allowed to live, there would be endless troubles in the future. Humph! Do you think I can't do anything to you just because I can't break the formation? I've said it before, you're the first one I'm going to kill. The evil purple-clothed youth had made up his mind to kill Suyu. He soared into the sky, and the fifth-grade ferocious bird beneath him shrieked. Then, he led the remaining 4 fourth-grade almighty ferocious birds and swooped down. 5 massive waves of pressure descended from the sky, and the sharp shrieks made everyone's blood boil. Some of the Situ family members with lower cultivation levels had their hearts shattered on the spot. Many of them spat out blood and suffered internal injuries. Only the martial artists, who were 5th-grade fairies and above, were unscathed. Those who weren't strong enough were arranged to hide in advance, so there weren't many casualties. Lady Situ's eyes shone brightly, and she bellowed in a deep voice, "My people, Suyu has created many opportunities for us to survive. We must protect him with our lives." As soon as she finished speaking, Lady Situ took the lead and went up to fight the strongest 5th-grade almighty alone with several almighty experts of the Situ family. However, the gap between a 4th-grade almighty and a 5th-grade almighty was like a chasm. The 5th-grade almighty ferocious bird's emerald green eyes were filled with human-like mockery. It flapped its wings abruptly, and a row of black feathers shot toward them with a terrifying aura. Bang! Bang! Lady Situ and the others immediately joined forces to defend themselves. However, the vital energy defense that they had condensed was like paper, and it was sliced apart by the black feathers. One of the 3rd-grade almighty elders of the Situ family had his chest pierced through, and he was almost killed by the attack on his vital organs. The other almighty hurriedly retreated. Lady Situ's face was flushed, and her internal injuries were acting up, causing blood to flow from the corners of her mouth. They had been sent flying by the 5th-grade almighty ferocious bird in an instant, and it was charging towards Suyu without any resistance. "Suyu, be careful!" Lady Situ bellowed, gathering her vital energy and giving chase. However, she was seriously injured, so she couldn't stop the ferocious 5th-grade almighty ferocious bird. Seeing that Suyu was about to die at the hands of the ferocious bird's eyes suddenly froze, and it retracted its claws that were reaching for Suyu. At the same time, it spread its wings and changed its direction, soaring into the sky. Just as it was about to fly away, a black shadow appeared in front of Suyu like a ghost, and a whip lashed at the spot where the ferocious bird had been a moment ago. With a horrible shriek, the ferocious bird's tail was whipped, and black feathers fell off, as well as streaks of black blood. If it hadn't been for its unusually sensitive senses, which allowed it to detect the danger and give up on attacking Suyu in time, its head would have been blown off by the whip, and it would have died. 5th-grade almighty. Lady Situ and the evil purple-clothed youth were both shocked. Suyu actually had a 5th-grade almighty expert as his bodyguard. Trying to escape? Suyu snorted coldly as he stared at the injured 5th-grade almighty ferocious bird, which was about to flee. Huanggue immediately turned into a remnant shadow, chasing after it, waving the bone whip and lashing it crazily. When Lady Situ and the others saw what was happening, they immediately joined in the encirclement. The few of you protect Suyu. Don't let the remaining 4th grade almighty ferocious birds harm him. The rest of you follow me and kill the injured ferocious bird. Not only the Situ family, but even Bai Shanliang and Gongsun Wuxie also rushed towards Suyu. Senior brother Shanliang Wuxie, you two go and encircle that ferocious bird. It's only slightly injured, and Lady Situ has Huangue's cooperation, so it'll be difficult for her to stop it. You two should lend her a hand. As for these 4 4th grade almighty ferocious birds, leave them to me, Suyu said. Bai Shanliang didn't hesitate for long. He nodded and looked at the ferocious bird that was fleeing outside the formation with a smile. Ahem, be good, don't run, or I'll spit blood all over your face. Wah! Chapter 922. The sight of him turning a 4th grade almighty ferocious bird into a pool of blood with a mouthful of blood was still fresh in the memory of the 5th grade almighty ferocious bird. It shrieked and sped up to escape. However, Huangue's whip technique was very tricky. It kept dodging and greatly reduced its agility. Soon, Huangue, Lady Situ, Bai Shanliang, and Gongsun Wuxie caught up with it. The 5th grade almighty ferocious bird was immediately surrounded and engaged in a fierce battle. On Suyu's side, the 4 4th grade almighty ferocious birds attacked him from 4 directions, intending to tear him into pieces on the spot. Suyu was calm and composed. He took a light breath and weaved signs in front of his chest with both hands, making a very mysterious gesture. Shortly after, 4 dragon roars sounded in succession, sounding like rolling thunder. The dragon roars contained a shocking spiritual pressure. Not only the people of the Situ family, but also the ferocious birds trembled. The massive torrent of ferocious birds outside the formation showed signs of panic. They retreated one after another, trying to escape. If not for the evil purple-clothed youth's control, they would have escaped long ago. What's that? Why do I hear a dragon roaring inside Suyu's body? In the midst of shock and confusion, the demonic energy in Suyu's chest rumbled. A ferocious dragon head seemed to be drilling out of Suyu's body, turning into a black residual shadow. Shortly after, a second, a third, and a 4th appeared. 4 black demonic dragons flew above Suyu's head. They were huge, ferocious, and frightening, emitting a violent aura. The 4 flying ferocious birds shuddered involuntarily, shrieking as they turned and flew away. However, the 4 demonic dragons immediately gave chase. The nearest ferocious bird had not flown far before its body was penetrated by the 4 demonic dragons at the same time, turning into a pile of ashes. Shortly after, the 2nd ferocious bird was struck. Soon after, the 3rd ferocious bird was struck. All of them turned into ashes and drifted away. The 4th ferocious bird was lucky enough to escape, but it was too frightened to be controlled by the evil purple-clothed youth. It soared into the sky and fled far away. Everyone was stunned by the scene. A 6th grade fairy had killed 3 4th grade almighty ferocious birds with his own hands. Although the ferocious birds had a single attack method, which made their actual combat power incomparable to humans of the same level, they were still much stronger than 3rd grade almighty humans. What demonic technique is that? How could he be so overbearing? The elders of the Situ family shuddered in fear. Just a moment ago, he had thought that Suyu was just lucky, and that it was only because of his talent and bodyguards that he could have such power. It was only now that he realized that he was also an existence that could easily kill a 4th grade almighty. Bai Shanliang's eyes flashed and he looked surprised. What kind of demonic technique is that? Why does it sound like the description of the 9 dragons' devil-subduing art? But isn't it impossible to successfully refine this book? Gongsun Wuxie stared at Suyu, feeling more and more perplexed. She realized that she couldn't see through this man, who she detested several times. He was too mysterious, and it seemed like he had more tricks up his sleeves than she did. This made Gongsun Wuxie feel a sense of familiarity. She had felt this mysterious feeling from another person before. The ruthless demonic cultivator, the mysterious youth who killed Xue Di. But soon, Gongsun Wuxia shook her head and said, "Silly, how can this old pervert be mentioned in the same breath as him?" After Su Yu had killed the 4th grade Almighty, his eyes flashed, and he shot toward the 5th grade Almighty ferocious bird that was entangled. With Hu Wangue as the main force, and Lady Situ, Bai Shanliang and Gongsun Wuxia as support, it was severely injured. But it was still as ferocious as ever, and it forcefully sent them flying, spiraling toward the outside of the formation in an attempt to escape. The evil purple-clothed youth, who had an unpleasant look on his face, mobilized the torrent of ferocious birds to hover outside the formation in an attempt to rescue it. In this way, no one dared to chase after it. Otherwise, they would surely be engulfed by the torrent of ferocious birds. However, right at that moment, the ferocious bird that was about to escape from the formation was engulfed in red light, and a massive space energy enveloped it. Then, it was transported back, and it landed right in the middle of the encirclement of Lady Situ and the others. They were shocked at first, then overjoyed, and they attacked the ferocious bird with all their might before it could recover. Screech! With a mournful cry, the ferocious bird's skull was smashed by Hu Wangue's whip. Then, it suffered the attacks of Bai Shanliang's poisonous blood, Gongsun Wuxia's 5th grade Almighty Talisman, and Lady Situ's attack. Both its body and soul were destroyed. In the blink of an eye, a 5th grade Almighty and 3 4th grade Almighty were killed. The evil purple-clothed youth, who had witnessed everything, was so furious that his eyes were about to pop out of their sockets. He had paid a huge price to successfully tame these ferocious birds, and they were like his right-hand men. However, all of them had been killed, and even the strongest one hadn't managed to escape. "You! If I don't kill you, I won't be able to get rid of the hatred in my heart." The evil purple-clothed youth was furious. Su Yu clasped his hands behind his back and said calmly, "You should be worrying about yourself." When he finished speaking, Su Yu blinked his eyes, and a mysterious and profound concept swept out in all directions with Su Yu as the center. Bai Shanliang, Gongsun Wuxia, Lady Situ, and the others felt as if they were in a torrent, and their souls were trembling from the depths of their hearts. There was a defiance in that concept, one that defied heaven and earth, and defied everything in the world. In the midst of this defiance, they only felt that they were insignificant, like ants looking up at a majestic figure that defied the heavens. While they were still immersed in the concept, an enormous eye gradually appeared in the sky. It was an enormous eye that spanned thousands of miles. It covered the sun and the moon as well as the blue sky. It placed everything before its eyes, and it looked down on everything in silence. "The heavens have shown their divinity," someone exclaimed in shock. Bai Shanliang and Gongsun Wuxia gasped. "The pure divine decree." They looked at Su Yu in unison, and their hearts, which had yet to calm down, were once again thrown into turmoil. He has actually embarked on the path of divine decree, and he has reached the pure realm. Gongsun Wuxia stared at Su Yu, feeling that he was overlapping with the mysterious youth in her mind. Bai Shanliang said solemnly, "The divine decree has always been a dead end since ancient times. Those who embark on the path of divine decree will perish before they can reach the almighty level. However, the martial artists of the path of divine decree are more powerful than ordinary martial artists, especially in terms of comprehension. They are unsurpassable." Lady Situ had been shocked by Su Yu to the point of numbness, and the shock in her heart could not be any greater. "Destroy," Su Yu said calmly. The enormous eye above the heavens slowly closed. When it opened again, hundreds of ferocious birds below the 2nd grade almighty level immediately melted like snowflakes. The dense torrent of ferocious birds could be seen to the naked eye. One by one, the ferocious birds disappeared without even having the chance to scream. They died and vanished from the world. Bai Shanliang recovered from the shock, licked his lips, and looked excited. Hee, since junior brother has shown his trump card, can I still hold back? Swish. Bai Shanliang took out a wooden puppet bird and tossed it into the air. The bird flew into the torrent of ferocious birds. A ferocious bird tore the bird apart with its claws. Dark yellow smoke gushed out from the torn body of the little bird. Wherever the smoke passed, all the ferocious birds, regardless of their cultivation, turned into yellow blood and fell to the ground. In the blink of an eye, 30 to 40 ferocious birds had been destroyed. However, there was not just one bird in Bai Shanliang's sleeves, but hundreds and thousands of them. Gongsun Wuxie did not want to be left behind. She threw out extremely powerful talismans as if they were free, and each one could wipe out a group of ferocious birds. In a few breaths, she had thrown out talismans worth millions of crystals, and she even winked at Su Yu from time to time. The people of the Sidhu family were dumbfounded as they witnessed the scene. This was not a torrent of ferocious birds slaughtering them. It was clearly the 3 demons of the Red Blood Palace slaughtering the ferocious birds. The evil purple-clothed youth was overwhelmed with shock. Su Yu and the other 2 demons were each more terrifying than the last. Especially Su Yu, whose heavenly eye was destroyed indiscriminately, causing great damage to the great army of ferocious birds that he had painstakingly cultivated for nearly 100 years. This couldn't go on. Although he was indignant, he couldn't sacrifice the birds for nothing. The evil purple-clothed youth took out a purple flute and blew into it loudly. All the birds immediately circled around him and fled into the distance. Bai Shanliang and Gongsun Wuxie were addicted to killing, and they immediately chased after the birds. Many people of the Sidhu family also chased after them excitedly. Su Yu had a bad feeling about this, and he hurriedly said, "Madam, ask your people to come back immediately. Don't fall into the enemy's trap." Within the formation, the enemy could do nothing to them for the time being, but once they left the formation, they would suffer heavy casualties if they were ambushed. As soon as he finished speaking, screams came from among the people of the Sidhu family who had rushed out. A large number of people of the Sidhu family were turned into flesh and blood, splattering everywhere. It was as if there was something extremely ferocious among them that was madly tearing their bodies apart, and it was heading straight in Su Yu's direction. Very soon, the people of the Sidhu family were killed, forming a river of blood. A man wearing a bamboo hat, bathed in a mist of blood, stepped out. After he appeared, he didn't give Bai Shanliang and Gongsun Wuxie any chance to return to help, and he charged towards Su Yu like a bolt of lightning. His murderous intentions were extremely awe-inspiring, and it was as if he had an irreconcilable hatred for Su Yu. Feeling the murderous intentions of the other party, Su Yu scowled. With a thought, Huanggue waved the bone whip and lashed it at the other party. However, the man in the bamboo hat merely grabbed the bone whip casually. Then, he whipped it, and Huanggue flew toward him along with the whip. Poof! The man in the bamboo hat's figure pierced through Huanggue without any hesitation. Huanggue was split in half from the middle, and even his soul was annihilated in an instant. He was deader than dead. Su Yu was shocked, and without saying a word, he took out a palm-sized ring at the same time. It was the glaze vehicle. With a thought, he imbued vital energy into it, and the glaze vehicle grew rapidly. In the blink of an eye, it became 30 feet long, and the ring could accommodate 3 or 4 people. Su Yu jumped into it, and the glaze vehicle started spinning immediately. Its speed was so fast that it couldn't even be compared to a 6th-grade ferry. In an instant, Su Yu scuttled into the clouds and disappeared without a trace. The man in the bamboo hat missed his target, and he shot an angry glare at the clouds. However, he didn't chase after him. Instead, he stared coldly at Lady Sidhu, and an evil light flashed in his eyes. Then, his figure flickered and he tried to grab her. However, right at that moment, the escaping glaze vehicle descended from the sky and snatched Lady Sidhu away. The man in the bamboo hat was furious, and he tapped the tip of his toes to chase after it. However, the glaze vehicle's speed was extremely fast, and it disappeared without a trace in an instant. Millions of miles away, the glaze vehicle appeared in front of Bai Shanliang and Gongsun Wuxie, and it pulled them into it. The glaze vehicle? What happened? Why did you activate this thing? Gongsun Wuxie was shocked. The glaze vehicle was given to Su Yu to save his life, and it was a one-time consumable item that could only be used once. Did something happen while they were chasing after the ferocious bird? You've been tricked. The enemy took advantage of your departure to attack the formation, Su Yu said. Bai Shanliang's eyes shone. Someone who could attack the formation must be at least a 4th-grade almighty, right? And someone who could make you choose to escape must be at least a 5th-grade almighty. Su Yu nodded, his face grave. Yes, the intruder is a 6th-grade almighty. He's been hiding in the dark, and he didn't want to show himself at first. But the evil purple-clothed youth was at his wit's end, so he finally struck. 6th-grade almighty? Lady Situ, Bai Shanliang, and Gongsun Wuxie all felt as if a huge rock was weighing down on their hearts. They had just barely managed to kill the 5th-grade almighty ferocious bird with the combined strength of everyone. And a 6th-grade almighty strong man was equivalent to the combat power of 10 5th-grade almighty. If they encountered him, they wouldn't be a match for him at all. Their only option now was to escape. Because of the sudden appearance of the mysterious 6th-grade almighty, the situation had taken a turn for the worse. Wait, my people! If we escape, they won't be spared. Lady Situ's face turned pale. Bai Shanliang said in a low voice, Madam, it's too late. A 6th-grade almighty isn't someone you and I can fight. If we go back now, we'll be walking right into a trap. Judging from the situation, he might be the old friend that the beast tamer mentioned. If you go back, you won't be able to save anyone. Instead, you'll become his. He didn't finish his sentence. What he was implying was that they couldn't save anyone now that things had come to this. Lady Situ's eyes were filled with sorrow. Her shoulders trembled, and she shook her head slowly. I appreciate your kindness, but my husband entrusted the family to me. It doesn't make sense for me to continue living after the family is destroyed. Her love for her late husband was like this all her life. Gongsun Wuxie sighed and took out another glaze wheel from her sleeve. I hope I can save 1 or 2 of your people. This is all I can help you with. Lady Situ was stunned, and her eyes were filled with gratitude. If I can't repay your kindness in this life, I'll repay it in my next life. As she spoke, she took the glaze wheel and was about to fly away with a light tap of her body. However, she didn't fly away. Instead, a palm pressed down on her shoulder. Is there any meaning in doing this? Apart from sacrificing yourself, who else can you save? The person who was pressing her down was Su Yu. He pointed ahead at the evil purple-clothed youth, who was being chased by Bai Shanliang and the others. At some point, he had returned with the torrent of ferocious birds and surrounded half of the place. It looked like he was going to form an encirclement, trap them, and wait for the 6th-grade almighty strong man to strike. If they didn't leave now, they would die. As for Lady Situ, she didn't even have time to return to the Situ family, let alone save anyone. Lady Situ's whole body was trembling, and her eyes were misty. She clenched her fists so hard that they bled. The Situ family was going to be finished just like that. However, Su Yu said, besides, there's another better way to save the Situ family. This way, the Situ family might not be harmed in the slightest. Chapter 923. Su Yu's eyes flickered as he shot a look at the evil purple-clothed youth, who was protected by layers of ferocious birds. Do you think that mysterious man cares more about the beast tamer's life or the Situ family's? Su Yu asked calmly. The 3 of them immediately understood what Su Yu meant. Capturing the evil purple-clothed youth would make the mysterious 6th-grade almighty hesitate. The Situ family could be destroyed afterward, but the beast tamer could not be resurrected if he died. If we could have subdued him, we would have done it long ago. Why wait until now? The light in Lady Situ's eyes flashed. It would be extremely difficult to kill tens of thousands of ferocious birds and capture the youth. The corners of Su Yu's mouth curled up slightly. Not necessarily. After saying that, Su Yu looked at the evil purple-clothed youth from afar, gauging the distance between them and waiting quietly. 1,000 miles, 800 miles, 500 miles, 400 miles. When he was 300 miles away, a purple light flashed in Su Yu's right eye. The time around him began to slow down. In his field of vision, Lady Situ and the others were like puppets, motionless, as if they had been frozen. The dark clouds 400 miles away were also moving at a snail's pace. The wings on Su Yu's back spread out, and he shuttled through the still flood of ferocious birds to the front of the evil purple-clothed youth. The expression on his face slowly changed to one of shock. Su Yu smiled, grabbed his shoulder, and immediately retreated back to the glaze vehicle. Just then, the time acceleration ended. Su Yu had entered the normal flow of time. Lady Situ and the other two only saw Su Yu's figure flash, as if he had suddenly disappeared for a moment and then reappeared. However, when he reappeared, he was holding the evil purple-clothed youth in his hand. The terrified expression on the youth's face had finally disappeared. The scene stunned the three of them, and they could not understand what had just happened. It did not seem like space teleportation but some kind of mysterious technique. Ah! The youth screamed suddenly as Su Yu's palm struck his chest, knocking him out. This person was a beast tamer, and as long as he was conscious, he could control the demonic beasts. That was the only way to ensure that he did not cause trouble. Lady Situ's eyes were filled with shock. Brother Shanliang, did you see what technique he just used? Gongsun Wuxie stared at Su Yu, her bright eyes gradually narrowing as she fell into deep thought. Bai Shanliang shook his head slowly, his expression extremely solemn. I've never seen or heard of such a thing. Without the power of space, he was able to capture someone from hundreds of miles away. This kind of method was unimaginable. Whoosh! At that moment, the plaited bamboo hat man finally caught up with them. However, he stood 10,000 feet away and did not make a move. Instead, he stared at Su Yu and the young man in his hands. Lady Situ was relieved to see that he was afraid of harming the innocent. Why don't we make a deal? Su Yu lifted the beast tamer in his hand. Even though the eyes of the plaited bamboo hat man were covered by the bamboo hat, Su Yu could feel that a pair of eyes filled with unforgettable hatred was locked onto him. After a long time, the man in the bamboo hat nodded slightly, still not saying anything. Su Yu's eyes flickered. Who is this person who hates me so much? Ever since his trip to Tianya City, his enemies had increased dramatically, and he couldn't be sure who the person in front of him was. However, this did not hinder the transaction between them. It's quite simple. Let's exchange his life for ours. I believe that he won't reject it, Su Yu said. The plaited bamboo hat man clenched his fists. After a long time, he nodded coldly and uttered, "Okay." This word was forced out through clenched teeth. The depth of his hatred sent chills down one's spine. Let the people of the Situ family evacuate first, Su Yu said. After the deal was made, the group returned to the Situ family. Under Lady Situ's orders, the people of the Situ family only took some important resources with them and fled in all directions. In this way, even if they were hunted down afterward, they would not be exterminated. Madam, you should go too, Su Yu said. She was looking at the people who were gradually disappearing into the distance. After a long time, she retracted her gaze. The worry on her face was no longer there, replaced by relief and relief. She looked back at Su Yu and smiled. You saved the Situ family, and I immediately abandoned you. Do you want me to bear the infamy? Su Yu smiled. That's fine. The plaited bamboo hat man's target is you. If you travel alone, it will be dangerous. Come with us. After pulling Lady Situ onto the glaze vehicle, Su Yu looked at the plaited bamboo hat man. We will release the beast tamer after we leave for an hour. You must not follow us. What if you regret it? The plaited bamboo hat man asked coldly. Creak. Suyu unfolded an ancient book of heart oaths and swore on the spot. I will release him in an hour. Then, he tossed the ancient book of heart oaths over. The plaited bamboo hat man caught it, his eyes never leaving Suyu. The agreement was made, and everyone secretly heaved a sigh of relief. If they were to confront this 6th grade almighty head-on, they would have no chance of winning. Even someone as strong as Hu Wangue had ended up with his body and soul destroyed, let alone them. However, just as they were about to get through the crisis safely, Suyu suddenly felt a sense of danger. Without hesitation, he activated the glaze vehicle to shift position. Buzz. At the moment when the glaze vehicle shifted position, a beam of purple moonlight swept across the place. The moonlight swept across the ground, carving out a mile-thick, charred dent. If Suyu's reaction had been any slower, they would have been annihilated. Swish. At the same time, a middle-aged man in a long robe rushed over on a 4th grade almighty flying beast. That flying beast was the one that had escaped before. It had been subdued by the middle-aged man and had flown back. The man had a pair of sharp eyes, and there was a very prominent feature between his brows. It was a purple moon that was branded between his brows. The Purple Moon Demonic Man? By Shanliang, Gongsun Wuxie, and Lady Situ were all shocked. They had all recognized this person. Suyu recognized him as well. His pupils contracted, and he quietly operated his vital energy to conceal his face. Lady Situ's eyes turned grave as she asked, when did the soul-seizing palace collude with unknown influences? The soul-seizing palace was located at the border of the blessed and heavenly lands, and they had been suspected of having ulterior motives more than once. However, there had never been any solid evidence. In other words, those who had solid evidence were no longer in this world. For example, they would all be silenced now. The Purple Moon Demonic Man had shown his real body, so he would not spare their lives. Aren't you suppressing Cabinet Master Kong-chan? What are you doing here? The plaited bamboo hat man bellowed. The corners of the Purple Moon Demonic Man's mouth curled up. Haha, you've made a mess of such a great situation. To avoid the saint's wrath, I naturally have to clean up the mess. How? Kill Meng Tian as well? The plaited bamboo hat man asked coldly. If he had succeeded, Meng Tian would have been killed. The Purple Moon Demonic Man said, Haha, of course. When he finished speaking, he took the Book of the Heart's oaths that Suyu had made, rubbed it with both hands, and turned it into ashes. A pair of sharp eyes stared at Suyu and the others, glancing over them one by one. I heard that Suyuxian is here. Who is he? He had actually come to find Suyuxian. Lady Situ, Bai Shanliang, and Gongsun Wuxie all looked solemn, but they had a tacit understanding not to look at Suyu, so as not to expose him. You don't want to say? Let me guess. Excluding the 2 women, only the 2 of you are left. You, if I remember correctly, should be the Western Poison by Shanliang, right? The Purple Moon Demonic Man said. He then glanced at Suyu. So, you're Suyuxian. Suyuxian stared at him, neither too fast nor too slow. Yes, so what? That's good. A lord wants to see your head, so I might need to borrow it. The Purple Moon Demonic Man's sharp eyes emitted a cold light. Lord? Which lord? The Purple Moon Demonic Man did not give Suyu a chance to speak. The purple moon between his brows shone brightly, shooting a beam of purple moonlight straight at Suyu. The man in the bamboo hat exclaimed, Meng Tian is still in his hands. Humph, this kind of useless trash is not needed by the Lord, and the saint even less. The Purple Moon Demonic Man snorted coldly. The man in the bamboo hat was speechless, and he gradually stopped trying to stop Suyu. The hatred in his eyes grew stronger and stronger. He glanced at Meng Tian and gritted his teeth. Fine, if I can kill Suyuxian, Meng Tian's sacrifice doesn't matter. Suyuxian, your time has come. The man in the bamboo hat emitted an overwhelming murderous intent, as if he had an irreconcilable feud with Su Yu. They were already powerless to deal with the man in the bamboo hat, let alone the purple moon demonic man. Swoosh! Su Yu activated the glaze vehicle and fled in an instant. The man in the bamboo hat and the purple moon demonic man were in hot pursuit. In the blink of an eye, they had crossed 1,000,000 miles. Su Yu said in a serious voice, "Wuxia, take them away with the glaze vehicle. Their target has become me." From their tone, they all had the intention to kill Su Yu. In this way, it would be more dangerous for the three of them to follow Su Yu. Moreover, Su Yu would only be able to display his skills if they all left. It was better to hold back some of his trump cards. Lady Sidhu's face fell, and she bit her red lips. "I'll stay and help you hold them off for a while. You don't have to sacrifice yourself for nothing. You can't hold them off for long," Su Yu said. "Moreover, the glaze vehicle is a one-time consumable. The more people it carries, the greater the loss. If I escape alone, I might have a higher chance of escaping." Gongsun Wuxia looked at Su Yu in surprise. In times of danger, this guy is still very reliable. He would rather take the risk himself than implicate others. She couldn't help but recall the ruthless demonic man who had saved her. In some ways, the two of them were very similar. At this critical moment, she had no time to think about it. With a flip of her small palm, she took out 3 glaze vehicles. She looked like a rich little lady. "Come on, don't stand on ceremony. One for each of us." Lady Sidhu bit her lips and said, "Be careful." After that, she activated the glaze vehicle and left quickly in the direction of a group of people. Bai Shanliang and Gongsun Wuxia left one after another. "Junior brother Yuxian, hang in there. I'll send a message to the inner sanctum immediately. I believe they'll send reinforcements very soon," Bai Shanliang said. Gongsun Wuxia hesitated, then pouted and said, "Don't die. If you die, Sister Wuxin will be snatched away by another man." Su Yu cupped his fists and bid farewell. He then turned into a fragmentary line and sped into the distance. The glaze vehicle was extremely fast. Without realizing it, Su Yu had crossed the area of the soul-seizing palace and entered the central prefecture. This was the first time Su Yu had been so close to the central prefecture. As he crossed the border, he suddenly realized that the space around him was strange. He had clearly flown far away, but there seemed to be a force at the border that was pulling him back. After several attempts, he failed to cross the border and remained in the area of the soul-seizing palace. When Su Yu used his soul eyes to explore, he discovered that the space energy at the border between the blessed and heavenly lands and the central prefecture was very chaotic. Once he was in it, the space around him would change because of the changes in the space energy. Hence, Su Yu failed to get out of it several times. Under normal circumstances, he had plenty of time to cross it slowly, but now he didn't have the time. He had to get ready to face the enemy. Su Yu's eyes flickered. He kept moving forward along the border, hoping to find a suitable place to face the enemy. To his surprise, he discovered that the more he went forward, the more chaotic the space area became. There were faint signs that it was spreading toward the depths of the soul-seizing palace. What happened? Why is there such a huge space disorder? Su Yu was extremely puzzled. The space of the Jiuzhou continent was very stable. Even the all-creation old monsters could only tear the space apart and carry out transportation. It was impossible for them to cause such a huge space disorder. Was it a natural phenomenon? Su Yu was puzzled. However, Su Yu found a place that was suitable for him to face the enemy. Crack! With a crisp sound, the glaze vehicle under Su Yu's feet broke into a crack that was as big as the mouth of a bowl, and its spirituality quickly dissipated. As a one-time consumable, its lifespan had come to an end. Before long, 2 figures chased after him, one in front of the other. Swish! They did not stop to rest, but headed straight for Su Yu. Su Yu's eyes shone brightly as he plunged into the boundless space area in front of him. Die! The purple moon demonic man's forehead shone with a brilliant purple light, and a beam of purple moonlight shot out, piercing straight toward Suyu. However, the straight beam of purple moonlight disappeared midway. "Be careful!" At the same time, the plated bamboo hat man suddenly pulled the purple moon demonic man away. Behind the purple moon demonic man, a beam of purple moonlight appeared soundlessly, and it almost killed him. "The space here is chaotic. Don't use your magical powers recklessly." The plated bamboo hat man stared at the surroundings, and his pupils shrank slightly. While they were chasing after Suyu, they also felt a vast chaotic space, which was strange and unusual. They had never seen such a huge space disorder area before. The purple moon demonic man was the most shocked. This place was close to the soul-seizing palace, and he knew very well that not long ago, there had been no abnormalities here. However, none of this was important, as the most important thing was to kill Suyu. Having learned their lesson just now, they were much more cautious in their attacks, and they relied entirely on their physical bodies to fly. Like Suyu, they were often transported to other areas by the fluctuating space. Sometimes they were very far away from Suyu, and other times they were very close to him. They could not control them at all. After chasing for a while, the purple moon demonic man frowned deeply. "Damn it! What is going on here? If this continues, unless Suyu happens to be transported to our side, we won't be able to do anything to him." Suyu turned around and the corners of his mouth curled up. "You're right. You can't do anything to me, but I can do anything to you." Swish. Without hesitation, Suyu threw out a round ball that was half blue and half yellow from his sleeve. The speed of the round ball was extremely fast, as if it was nothing. The purple moon demonic man thought it was some kind of hidden weapon, so he condensed a fist and threw it out. To prevent himself from getting hurt again, he did not use any magical powers. However, just as the attack was about to land, the bamboo hat man's eyelids twitched. "Oh no! Don't be stubborn." It was too late, but it was already too late. With a flash, he pulled the purple moon demonic man away. The round ball almost brushed past their faces. However, even so, the two of them flew backward as if they had been bombarded by the mighty force of a landslide. The purple moon demonic man opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood, while the bamboo hat man's clothes were shattered on the spot. The two of them felt a lingering fear. The strong wind that brushed past their faces was already so terrifying. If they were hit by the round ball head-on, wouldn't they explode and die on the spot? Suyu sighed inwardly. His left eye flashed with a red light, and the underworld pearl was taken back by the power of space. The underworld pearl was originally a weapon. Due to the lack of a matching cultivation technique, it could only be used as a stone in Suyu's hands. Its power was weak, and it would be difficult for it to unleash its full power when used against almighty strong men with quick reflexes. However, this blow proved that the underworld pearl was not afraid of space teleportation in this place. With its unparalleled weight, space could not teleport it away. Hence, it could be thrown out in a straight line. Since his plan had failed, Suyu put away the underworld pearl and lifted his eyes to look over. Suyu's gaze turned cold. After the bamboo hat man's clothes were shattered, the real face that was revealed was one that he recognized. Chapter 924. The person in front of him was a middle-aged man with a gloomy expression. His eyes were full of murderous intent. "Little bastard!" The middle-aged man's face was full of murderous intent. "You killed my son and killed the juniors of my family. Have you ever thought of paying for this?" The person in front of him was none other than the Shao's family master. Apart from the factions, he was the most powerful family in the blessed and heavenly lands, the Shao's family. It was no wonder that he wanted to control Lady Situ. If he remembered correctly, he had been obsessed with Lady Situ's beauty ever since he was young. He was the one who had secretly killed Lady Situ's husband, and part of the reason for that was his lust for her beauty. It was no wonder that he had appeared as the man in the bamboo hat. If his current identity was revealed to the Red Blood Palace, the Shaos would be the one to be exterminated. I've never owed anyone a debt in my life, but there's only one debt that I won't repay, and that's the debt of blood. Su Yu said. He had never killed innocent people, so he had a clear conscience. I'll make you pay for it today. Now that his identity had been exposed, the Shao's family master would not allow Su Yu to live. With a stern shout, he turned into a residual shadow and flew over. Unfortunately, the space region was chaotic. A gust of space energy rushed over and swept the Shao's family master in another direction. The Shao's family master was furious, and his eyes were red as he attacked crazily. The purple moon demonic man frowned deeply. He had thought that he would definitely get rid of Su Yu, which was why he had dared to show himself. Don't be arrogant! The purple moon demonic man bellowed and joined in the chase. Compared to them, Su Yu used his soul eyes to understand the nature of the surroundings. He could clearly identify the space in those regions, and when it was about to be chaotic, he could easily avoid it and avoid being transported inexplicably. However, he also understood that he could only stall his opponent for a while. Just like that, the group of people chased after Su Yu in the space region of chaos. Su Yu moved forward in a zigzag manner, while the Shao's family master and the purple moon demonic man were hot on his trail. The chase lasted for a whole day. The purple moon demonic man gradually realized that something was wrong. This brat is really strange. He's only a 6th grade fairy, but his vital energy foundation is even worse than a 9th grade fairy's. Normally, a level 9 fairy would have exhausted all of his vital energy after being hunted for a whole day, yet Su Yu was still full of vigor and energy. All the more reason for us to kill him. The Shao's family master stared at Su Yu. Throughout the day they had traversed countless regions. They had long since entered the region of the central prefecture from the blessed and heavenly lands. Looking at the direction, it was close to Tianya City. The deeper they went into the region of chaotic space, the more shocked they were. That was because this region of chaotic space was incomparably vast. They weren't the only ones. Many other living beings were trapped in the chaotic space, unable to fly out for a long time. Among them, there were also some fleeing members of the Situ clan who mistakenly entered this area. Occasionally, they could even catch a glimpse of a few groups of ferocious birds that had wandered away. In short, a large area of heaven and earth was disturbed by this mysterious space. Right at this moment, the Purple Moon Devilman and the Shao family's master were suddenly enveloped by a sudden spatial disturbance, and they were forcefully teleported away. They were already numb to such experiences. Other than frustration, they immediately locked onto Su Yu's direction once they were teleported out, lest they lose him. However, to their delight, the transportation this time did not send them off course. Instead, it sent them 2 zhang away from Su Yu. Su Yu's face fell, but he was already prepared. Without hesitation, he activated the 5 elements divine prison and released the 5 pulse-dominant wave to cover the surface of his body. It was like layers of water ripples, protecting his whole body. Buzz. Almost at the same time, the water ripples surged. The Shao's family master and the Purple Moon Devilman bombarded the water ripples at the same time. The Purple Moon Devilman's palm energy did not even cause the slightest ripple, while the Shao's family master's palm energy caused the water ripples, but it was still barely blocked. What kind of defense is this? Both of them were shocked. Su Yu's eyes shone brilliantly. His arm flickered with a green light, and Meng Tian, who was unconscious, was taken out by Su Yu. When Meng Tian opened his eyes, the first thing he saw was the scene of the Shao's family master and the Purple Moon Devilman attacking the water ripples crazily. Your life is in my hands, but they are attacking you wantonly and abandoning you. This is your current situation, Su Yu said calmly as he looked at the sturdy water ripples. Combined with the scene before him, Meng Tian quickly realized his situation. He had been captured, but had been abandoned by the Shao's family master and the Purple Moon Devilman. If Su Yu died, he would surely kill him before he died. You want to live, and I want to live. We have the same goal, Suyu said. Meng Tian's brows sank. You want me to attack them? Just now they had been allies. Why not? You cherish their lives, but do you think they value you in the slightest? Suyu said. Besides, we only need to repel their attacks. Meng Tian's mind was racing. Although they were serving the same influence, it was not worthwhile to sacrifice himself to help them. Meng Tian's eyes flickered with ruthlessness as he asked, What do you want me to do? I suppose you won't let me go for the time being, right? Of course not. Once Meng Tian was released, he would undoubtedly stand on the Shao's family master's side again. He would then mobilize the birds to attack Suyu again. Use your beast-taming technique to summon the nearby scattered flocks of ferocious birds immediately. I will control your life and death. If you make any strange movements, I will kill you first, Suyu said. Meng Tian had also guessed that Suyu would use this method. After pondering for a moment, Meng Tian said, All right. When he finished speaking, he took out a purple flute again and placed it next to his lips to play it. The sound of the flute was transmitted in all directions, ignoring the spatial disorder. The ferocious birds who had lost their masters and were lost in the spatial disorder area flapped their wings and screeched shrilly as they gathered there. The nearest third-grade almighty ferocious bird swooped over immediately. Under Meng Tian's control, it took the lead in attacking the Purple Moon demonic man. Meng Tian, if you dare attack me, Lord Bloodbone will not forgive you when we return. The Purple Moon demonic man killed the attacking ferocious bird furiously and yelled, Don't listen to his bewitchment. Meng Tian put down the purple flute and sneered. If I don't attack you now, are you going to wait for the one behind me to attack me? Retreat at once, or don't blame me for being merciless. You should know how powerful the ferocious birds are. Once they gather in a flock, even your souls can't escape. Struggle appeared in the Shao's family master's eyes, but as he looked at Suyu, who was right in front of him, he couldn't suppress his hatred. I'm sorry, but this is my only chance to avenge my son. Ziyu, let's attack him together. Such a defense can only be activated by an extremely powerful vital energy, and his vital energy has already been consumed. Now, he doesn't have much left. The Shao's family master, who had discerned Suyu's situation, shouted coldly. The Purple Moon demonic man did not want to let Suyu off either, so he immediately joined in the attack. Suyu's heart sank bit by bit. It was indeed, as the Shao's family master had said, the 5-pulse dominant wave consumed a lot of vital energy, and it could not be sustained for long. What was gratifying was that as the sound of the flute spread out, a large number of flying beasts were gathering, forming quite a large group. Keep the Shao's family master occupied first. Suyu stared at the Purple Moon demonic man. In fact, his fear of the Purple Moon demonic man was far greater than that of the Shao's family master. This was because the Purple Moon demonic man was one of the few who knew Suyu's true identity. Once he discovered that the Suyushin in front of him was Suyu, then Suyu would lose his chance to hide his identity. This person was much more dangerous than the master of the Shao family. As for the Shao's family master, Suyu had several ways to kill him, but the price he would have to pay would be great. Kill the Purple Moon demonic man first. Crash! The flying beasts that filled the sky pounced over and besieged the Shao's family master. Even though the Shao's family master had the cultivation of a 6th-grade almighty, he dared not underestimate the ferocious birds. Hence, he had no choice but to give up on breaking the 5 pulses dominant wave and turn to deal with the densely packed flying beast. Suyu tapped the ground with the tip of his toes and charged straight at the Purple Moon demonic man with the 5 pulses dominant wave. The wings on his back fluttered, and his speed exploded, reaching the same height as the Purple Moon demonic man. The Purple Moon demonic man's brows creased. The defense on the surface of Suyu's body was invulnerable, and Suyu had many tricks up his sleeve, which made him feel threatened. In a one-on-one fight, he couldn't hurt a single hair on Suyu's body, but Su Yu could take his life at any time. Such a frustrating exchange of blows infuriated the Purple Moon demonic man, and he chose to retreat without hesitation. He wanted to circle to the Xiao's family master's vicinity so that the two of them could join forces. How could Su Yu allow him to do as he wished? With a flick of his sleeves, the underworld pearl smashed over with a thunderous force. Having witnessed the danger of the pearl before, the Purple Moon demonic man hurriedly stopped in his tracks. As he retreated, a brilliant beam of purple moonlight shot out from between his brows once again. Su Yu's figure flickered as he dodged it and approached the Purple Moon demonic man rapidly. Then, with a flick of his sleeves, a thin thread that was invisible to the naked eye sliced toward the Purple Moon demonic man's head. The Purple Moon demonic man felt a great sense of danger all of a sudden. Without thinking, he retrieved a small purple sword that was filled with shocking spiritual energy from his sleeves. The small sword was overflowing with spiritual light, and it was very different from ordinary spiritual artifacts. It was a top-grade spiritual artifact that contained a powerful flame energy. Anyone below the 5th grade almighty level would find it hard to endure the flames carried by the sword. Sword devours mountains and rivers. The Purple Moon demonic man was an expert in using swords. With a sweep of the sword, the sky was filled with sword shadows that carried endless flames, which came crashing down one after another. Although this sword strike wasn't as brilliant as Bing Wuxin's, it was still very ingenious. Coupled with the terrifying flame energy, it had endless power. Instead of retreating, Su Yu advanced. He took a step forward and pinched two of his fingers. All of a sudden, the flame energy that was swirling all over the sky became chaotic. When it was 10,000 feet away from Su Yu, it stopped and gradually extinguished. When the flame was extinguished, the remaining sword energy didn't even shake Su Yu's water ripples. From the Purple Moon demonic man's point of view, Su Yu had barged into the sea of fire, yet the flames seemed to be under his control and extinguished on their own. Such a mysterious technique shocked the Purple Moon demonic man once again. Sword dance in the sky. Sword beheading the world. Yin-Yang sword. Su Yu performed 9 consecutive sword strikes, each one more powerful and majestic than the one before. However, Su Yu charged straight at the Purple Moon demonic man as if there was no one there. The Xiao's family master, who was entangled with the ferocious bird, finally came back to his senses. His face fell. Leave quickly. Don't tangle with him. He has already reached the realm of fire manipulation and can control the fire element. Your purple flame sword can't do anything to him. What? Fire manipulation? This is the realm after the path of fire has broken through the barrier. The Purple Moon demonic man was greatly shocked. He finally realized how terrifying Su Yu was. What kind of talent was hidden beneath that ordinary appearance? Chapter 925. The Xiao's family master was a 6th grade almighty with powerful combat power. Even if he was besieged, he could still handle it with ease. Therefore, the Purple Moon demonic man decisively retreated. You want to leave now? It's too late. Su Yu snorted coldly. Stepping on the void, the fiery red wings on his back suddenly flashed, and he chased after them. The Purple Moon demonic man said coldly, "It's not easy to kill you, but isn't it easy for me to leave?" Shwa, the Purple Moon demonic man took out an earthy yellow talisman and threw it at Su Yu without saying a word. The talisman exploded in the air, emitting a blinding light. At the same time, a frightening power swept over like an avalanche. The power of this blow was comparable to a full-force blow from a 6th grade almighty. Su Yu dodged immediately, but he was still affected. The vital energy that was covering his face dispersed, revealing his true appearance. The Purple Moon demonic man took advantage of the moment when Su Yu's figure paused to escape. Before he left, he glanced at Su Yu's condition after being attacked. But it was precisely this gaze that caused the Purple Moon Devilman to seem as if he was struck by lightning, and he froze on the spot. His pupils shrank bit by bit, and the expression on his face changed from doubt to shock, and finally to ecstasy. He couldn't help but exclaim, "It's you! You are!" Su Yu cursed inwardly. His identity was about to be exposed. Clenching his teeth, a small purple dragon swam in Su Yu's left eye and flew out, entangling the purple moon demonic man. Time control. The words that were about to come out of his mouth stopped abruptly. Similarly, his body couldn't move at all. Seizing the opportunity, Su Yu dashed over. As he flicked his index finger, the silk coiled around the purple moon demonic man's neck. Then, Su Yu exerted his strength with his index finger, and the silk thread sliced off the purple moon demonic man's head like cutting tofu. It was also at this moment that the time was up. A bloody mist sprayed out from the purple moon demonic man's neck like a fountain. At the same time, an illusory and transparent figure drilled out of his body and ran away in fear. As he flew, he screamed in terror, "Ah! Spare me, please have mercy, Senior." His tone was filled with endless fear and terror. It was as if he was facing an all-creation-old monster. Su Yu's face turned even colder, and a furious roar came from the depths of his chest. Then, 4 demonic dragons roared out and chased after the purple moon demonic man's soul. Although his cultivation was high, his soul was very weak. The demon dragon pounced forward and immediately tore it apart. The purple moon demonic man shouted in terror, "Xiao's family master, save me quickly." "He is," the last few words were drowned out by the crazed roars of the demonic dragon. Apart from Su Yu, who was the closest, no one could hear what he had said. The purple moon demonic man, the soul-seizing palace's 3rd elder, was killed just like that. This scene caused the Xiao family's master to widen his eyes, and even Meng Tian was greatly shocked. At the last moment, why was the purple moon demonic man unable to move his body? Also, what was with his behavior before he died? Why did he call Su Yu Senior? Who was he? This question appeared in both of their minds at the same time. Su Yu's face fell. Before the purple moon demonic man died, he had indeed revealed the truth that Su Yu was a wanted criminal of the Central Prefecture. As expected, the soul-seizing palace's elder already knew his true identity. A trace of coldness lingered in his eyes. Then, Su Yu's eyes turned cold as he looked at the entangled young master. With a shake of his sleeves, the underworld pearl flew out again, crushing him with a crushing force. At the same time, Su Yu flew over, his index finger and thumb tightly grasping the silk, ready to strike the Xiao family's master at any time. The Xiao family's master realized that something was amiss. With a loud bellow, powerful vital energy gushed out of his pores, sending the ferocious birds flying. He seized the opportunity to escape the siege and avoid the underworld pearl's attack. His eyes were fixed on Su Yu. He wanted to chase after him, but his way was blocked by more and more ferocious birds. "Brat, if I don't kill you today, I'm not a human." Hatred welled up in the Xiao family's master's mind. He weaved signs with both hands, and a jade seal gradually appeared above his head. It was carved with a ferocious demonic bird. "Tao Tai!" Meng Tian called out, his voice full of envy and fear. Su Yu furrowed his brows. All of a sudden, he felt a burning sensation in between his brows, as if the eyeball between his brows was about to open forcibly. Back then, he had been oppressed by Gu Taishu's will, which had caused Su Yu's pure divine decree to be sealed. In order to break the seal, he had used the Tao Tai's eye and an elixir to cultivate a heaven-devouring demonic eye. This eye could swallow the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, and could even devour the sun, moon, and stars. However, this kind of eye was only suitable for the demon race, so Su Yu had never used it unless it was absolutely necessary to prevent any changes to his body. It had been more than a year since he had entered the Jiuzhou continent, and this was the first time that the heaven-devouring demonic eye had acted strangely. The Xiao family's master's divine seal was a Tao Tai. When the divine seal appeared, The many ferocious birds that were besieging him shrieked in terror, as if they had encountered something extremely terrifying. Although they did not know who it was, they could feel fear from their bloodline. A large number of birds were no longer under Meng Tian's control, and they fled in panic. In the blink of an eye, the densely packed ferocious birds had all fled. Humph! Little beast, I want to see who else can save you. The Shao family's master laughed hideously. Without any more obstacles, he turned into a residual shadow and attacked. The speed of his body technique was far beyond what Su Yu could withstand. It was not until he was within 1,000 feet of Su Yu that the corners of Su Yu's mouth twitched. His arm was filled with azure light, and a long box appeared. Inside the box was a ghostly claw that was as black as ink. It was eerie and ferocious, emitting a massive ghostly energy. After crushing the long box, Su Yu held the ghostly claw in his hand and slammed it toward the Shao family's master's head. All of a sudden, the spiritual energy within a radius of 10,000 miles boiled and gathered crazily, forming a substantial ghostly claw above their heads. The ghostly energy that was as thick as ink surged, covering the sky and covering the sun. The clear sky just a moment ago turned pitch black. All of a sudden, the weather changed. The Shao family's master, who was rushing over, suddenly felt a chill run down his spine. He fixed his gaze on the ghostly claw in Su Yu's hand and was shocked. Lord Bloodbone's palm. You? How did you get it? Su Yu's eyes shone with a shrewd light. Lord Bloodbone? The Purple Moon demonic man had mentioned Lord Bloodbone once before. Did that mean that both of them were the old Bloodbone's men? The Purple Moon demonic man must have been ordered by the old Bloodbone to hunt Su Yu down. Humph! Using your master's palm to slap you to death is a worthy death, Su Yu said nonchalantly. As the giant ghostly claw slammed down, the Shao family's master was extremely shocked and furious. He urged the divine seal above his head to collide with it. Crack! Theoretically, the divine seal of a 6th-grade Almighty should be harder and harder. However, it shattered under the ghostly claw. The Shao family's master spat out a mouthful of blood essence as his body flew backward. As he flew backward, the ghostly claw continued to crush him. Cracks the width of a finger appeared on his body, and he was about to be torn apart. Little evil creature, you will die a horrible death. Before he died, the Shao family's master stared at Su Yu with a venomous gaze. Your good days are not far away. When my master is born, all of you will die. The malicious curse sent chills down one's spine. However, Su Yu said calmly, worst comes to worst, I'll send your master down with me. Boom! With a loud noise, the ghostly claw crushed down, leaving a palm print that covered 10,000 miles on the ground. The entire area of 100,000 miles caved in. Under this claw, the Shao family's master's corpse was obliterated. However, the moment the Shao family's master died, Su Yu retrieved his space ring through space transportation to prevent it from being destroyed. When the dust of the great battle had settled, Su Yu heaved a long sigh of relief and looked at Meng Tian with indifference. Meng Tian's eyelids twitched violently, and he immediately asked warily, "Have you decided to kill me? We've fought a common enemy before." Su Yu sized him up. "We've fought a common enemy before, but you tried to kill me more than once, didn't you? Gathering so many ferocious birds, you actually wanted to kill me and the Shao family's master together so that you could take my head and report back, didn't you?" In the course of the battle just now, he had felt murderous intense several times. Meng Tian took a step back and swallowed a mouthful of saliva. He did not defend himself. He only had the cultivation of a 3rd-grade Almighty, and with the combat power that Su Yu had displayed, killing him would be as easy as killing a dog. "What do you think I should do with you?" Su Yu narrowed his eyes and stared at Meng Tian. Upon hearing that, Meng Tian's inner worry eased. His eyes flashed as he said, "I should still be of use to you. If Su Yu had wanted to kill him, he would have done so a long time ago." Su Yu smiled. It's great that you understand. Indeed, I'm alone and weak now, and I need some power. You can control many ferocious birds, so you'll be a great help to me." Looking at him, Su Yu said, "Follow me from now on, and you'll have unimaginable benefits." There was no deep hatred between them, so Su Yu naturally hoped to use such a rare and powerful help. "If it's possible, I'd like to agree, but—" Meng Tian pointed at the dantian of his abdomen with both of his fingers. A mass of pitch-black gas was faintly discernible. Su Yu could clearly see that there was a talisman embedded deeply in his dantian within the gas. "Shui Gu has set up a seal unique to the Ghost Clan in my dantian, and it can't be undone at all. If he finds out that I've betrayed him, he can decide my life and death with a single thought, no matter how far away I am," Meng Tian said with a bitter smile. Su Yu said indifferently, "What's so difficult about a seal? Let go of your soul first, and once I've gained complete control of it, I'll undo the seal for you immediately." Meng Tian pondered for a moment, but did not hesitate. Firstly, his life was not in his hands now, so he had no choice. Secondly, being controlled by Shui Gu or being controlled by him would still result in death, so there was no difference. "Son of Heaven, Imperial Soul!" Su Yu bellowed, and a transparent beam of light shot out of his eyes into the space between Meng Tian's brows. Meng Tian felt a wave of pain, and he felt that there was a mysterious soul energy in the depths of his soul, which was very obscure. He could feel that the wisp of soul energy could detonate his entire soul body at any time. "Your soul is very strong." Meng Tian could not help but be surprised. He felt that this person's soul energy should not be lower than a 7th-grade fairy. With the cultivation of a 6th-grade fairy, he had the soul energy of a 7th-grade fairy, which was enough to prove that this person was a prodigy of souls. Su Yu did not respond. He placed his right palm on Meng Tian's abdomen, and activated the Milky Way star sand. Before long, whiffs of black ghost energy were extracted out of thin air. The talisman relied entirely on the support of the ghost energy to function and threaten Meng Tian at all times. Since that was the case, absorbing the ghost energy would naturally cause the talisman to wither and eventually collapse. Chapter 926. Meng Tian was skeptical. When he revolved his vital energy, he found that his dantian was flowing smoothly, unlike before. He could not help but stare at Su Yu in shock. "How did you do it?" "The blood-bone old ghost's cultivation is at the first stage of all creations." Su Yu glanced at him. "You don't need to know that. What you should know is that from now on, the person you will listen to is me." Meng Tian calmed down from his surprise, as if he had been splashed with a bucket of cold water. However, when he thought about it carefully, he felt much better. Compared to the temperamental blood-bone old ghost, the fellow in front of him was more humane. Judging from his behavior, he was kind to his own people, so he would not kill him easily. As he thought about it, he felt much better. "You should recuperate first," Su Yu instructed as he recovered his vital energy and physical strength on the spot. 2 hours later, Su Yu had fully recovered. He then took out the Shao's family master's space ring and glanced inside. There were 10 million crystals, hundreds of books of spirit-level cultivation techniques, countless elixirs of various levels, and an enormous amount of materials. All of the 5th-grade items were worth at least 50 to 60 million. "Shao's family master, did you carry all of the Shao's resources with you?" Su Yu's eyes lit up. Who would complain about having too much money? He could also bring the resources inside to the people of the Zhenlong continent. Why not? All of a sudden, Su Yu found a strange item among the cultivation technique. It was a cultivation technique that was inscribed on a black bone. It was called the 100 Bones Demonic Tempering Technique. It was a top-grade legendary cultivation technique that was used to train one's body. Su Yu had some impression of this cultivation technique. Xiao Lingjian had used it before, and its effects on body tempering were remarkable. Xiao Lingjian had only scratched the surface of the technique, yet it had such transformations. If he cultivated it to a deeper level, his body would probably be extremely powerful. Suyu had the evil dragon divine body to refine his body, so he was not too keen on this item. However, this item was very valuable, and it would be a good idea to sell it at the auction for crystals or exchange it for a top-grade legendary cultivation technique that he wanted. Meng Tian, what does your beast-taming technique focus on? Suyu asked. Meng Tian had already accepted his fate, so he quickly adapted to it. Master, the beast-taming technique focuses on two aspects. The first aspect is communication. The demonic beasts are trained from a young age, and they can be controlled. The second aspect is rearing. After the demonic beasts are tamed, they will continue to grow, and the overall strength of the beast-taming master will increase. The beasts will be more willing to follow them. Generally speaking, a beast-tamer's demonic beasts were mostly raised from infancy. Wild demonic beasts that had already taken form were usually unruly and difficult to tame, and would often turn on their masters. Only on special occasions would beast tamers use special methods to temporarily control ferocious demonic beasts. For example, Meng Tian had taken control of the ferocious birds in one of the Shangguan family's bird colonies, causing them to temporarily lose their spirituality and besiege Su Yu and Shangguan Yang. My beast-taming art came from a book left behind by a senior beast-tamer when I was young. From it, I found the experience and method of communicating with demon beasts. Then, I slowly tamed demon beasts and gradually cultivated them to where I am today. Suyu nodded. Yes. How do I communicate with the demonic beasts? Meng Tian said. It was recorded in the letter that the senior spent his entire life to decipher more than 100 simple demonic language words. Moreover, there were many hand gestures that allowed him to communicate with demonic beasts. Is that so? Su Yu's eyes flickered. So, is it easier to communicate with words or with gestures? This question made Meng Tian feel a little disdainful, but on the surface, he was very calm. Of course it's through language. It's very difficult for demonic beasts to understand your exact meaning with hand gestures. On the other hand, language is simple and straightforward. The efficiency of using language to persuade a strange demonic beast is 10 times that of using hand gestures. It's a pity that there aren't many remnants of the demon clan's language in the 9 prefectures, and the beast tamers who have mastered the demon clan's language are rarely willing to share it. As a result, the development of the path of beast tamers is very slow, and it's far behind the path of alchemy, craftsmanship, and other sections. Suyu muttered to himself irresolutely for a moment before he took out a jade pendant and recorded a part of his memory about the demon clan's language in it. These were 1/10 of the demon clan's words that Suyu knew, and they were enough for Meng Tian to benefit from for the rest of his life. These are the demon clan's words. Take them back and digest them, Suyu said. Meng Tian was taken aback. He took the jade pendant suspiciously and placed it on his forehead. Then, a large amount of memory was instilled into his mind. At first, he was very confused, because he didn't recognize any of the words. But soon, he was shocked, because the 200 demon clan's words that had given him a great opportunity were all in there. Moreover, the translation was extremely accurate. In other words, the rest of the huge amount of words in his memory were all demon clan's words. When he realized this, Meng Tian was so excited that his whole body trembled. Nothing was more meaningful to a beast tamer than the demon clan's words. He had paid respects to many beast tamer seniors, and he had also participated in many gatherings of beast tamers. However, very few people were willing to share the demon clan's words that they had mastered. Everyone cherished their own knowledge. Moreover, the more advanced a beast tamer was, the more they would treat the demon clan's words that they had mastered as their inheritance. They wouldn't easily reveal even a single word of it. The demon clan's words that Suyu had given to Meng Tian weren't just a description, but a treasure trove that contained almost all of the demon clan's words. He was sure that the demon clan's words that all the beast tamers in Jojo had mastered were less than 1% of this memory. After mastering all of them, it would be equivalent to mastering the demon clan's language and being able to communicate with the demon clan from a young age. He could even convince some wild demonic beasts with extremely high spiritual intelligence to work for him. Meng Tian was so excited that he almost felt like he was dreaming. Mastering so many demon clan's words, sooner or later, he would become a top-notch beast tamer. When he came back to his senses, Meng Tian had an idea. Holding the jade pendant in his hand, he knelt in front of Su Yu and kowtowed 3 times respectfully. His face was full of respect and gratitude. "Master, I will never forget your great kindness." He finally understood why Su Yu had said that submitting to him would give him unimaginable benefit. This wasn't just unimaginable, it was a great benefit that he couldn't even dream of. He believed that any beast tamer on the continent would flock to him and fight to become Su Yu's servant. "This matter is only known by the heavens, the earth, you, and me. If it is leaked, it will only bring harm to both of us. I don't need to remind you of this, do I?" Su Yu said. Meng Tian said solemnly, "Please rest assured, Master. Without your permission, I won't leak a single word." If it was really leaked, Meng Tian would be the first to be besieged by powerful beast tamers who would seize the demon clan's words. Su Yu would also be targeted. "All right, take these 10 million crystals from the Shao family and use them to purchase resources for raising demonic beasts." Su Yu thought for a moment, then handed over the 10 million crystals to him. Meng Tian was a worthy assistant. Even though the strength of the demonic beasts he controlled now wasn't considered powerful, they had already displayed a terrifying side. If he continued to be trained, he would surely become a formidable force in the future. 10 million. Meng Tian's palms trembled, and he bowed gratefully once again. He didn't hold any grudges against Su Yu, and it was replaced by rejoicing and gratitude. He was glad that he had met Su Yu, and he was grateful for the opportunity that had been bestowed upon him. "Master, Meng Tian swears to follow you until death," Meng Tian said sincerely. Su Yu nodded and asked, "Why did you besiege the Sidhu family?" "It was the saint's order," Meng Tian said. When he mentioned the word saint, his tone was visibly trembling. Su Yu frowned slightly. "Saint? Who is he?" "I don't know. I only know that he's the highest-ranking ruler of our organization." "I've never seen him in person," Meng Tian said. "There's such a mysterious organization in the blessed and heavenly lands? How big is your organization? Is the blood-bone old monster in your organization?" Su Yu asked. Meng Tian shook his head again. "No one knows exactly how big it is. All we know is that it's only a branch of the organization in the blessed and heavenly land. It used to be run by an all-creations strong man named Qianshan. We call him Hall Master Qianshan. Later, the blood-bone old monster appeared and killed Hall Master Qianshan, swallowing him alive. In the end, not only did the saint not pursue the matter of him being a remnant of the ghost race, but he also appointed him as the new Hall Master in charge of this place. All of us who used to be Hall Master Qianshan's subordinates became the blood-bone old monster's subordinates. Many of us, including myself, were placed with seals." Su Yu's eyes shone with shrewdness. The blessed and heavenly lands had an all-creations Hall Master in charge. In the land of Jojo there were as many as 45 regions. Didn't that mean that this organization had at least 45 all-creations strong men? With such a huge force, it would be difficult for any state to rival it. Su Yu was getting more and more confused. Why did such a colossal and mysterious organization exist in the Jojo continent? Why did the saint order you to do this? Su Yu's eyes flickered as he asked. Meng Tian smiled bitterly. "I'm just a nobody in the hall, and I'm even more insignificant in the entire organization. How would I know the saint's intentions? However, I've heard the Shao's family master mention that although the blessed and heavenly lands are located in the barren lands of Jiuzhou, it's a mysterious place. The saint seems to be up to something big, and he wants to wipe out this region first. Su Yu stroked his chin. Did the so-called mystery refer to the ancient bronze tree god sleeping here? He didn't know much, so Su Yu didn't pursue the matter. He asked, apart from you, the Shao's family master, and the purple moon demonic man, are there any other forces? Meng Tian shook his head. Our mission this time is to wipe out the Sidu family first. Su Yu thought for a moment. Why not the Shangguan family? With the scale of the birds, they could have easily wiped out the Shangguan family in the past. Meng Tian replied awkwardly, that was the Shao's family master's idea. He's been coveting Lady Sidu for a long time. The orders from the higher-ups were only for us to wipe out the big and small families and influences as soon as possible. The Shao's family master has been itching for action for a long time. Once he got the chance, he attacked the Sidu family first. For that, he even set up a diversion plan. Su Yu was relieved to hear that the Shangguan family was safe and sound. Chapter 927. When Su Yu heard this, his eyes turned cold. Meng Tian's whole body trembled, and he knelt down in panic. Master, please forgive me. I was just thinking of Master. It won't happen again. Su Yu restrained his coldness. He did have the power to protect the Sidu family, but it didn't mean that he should give up his bottom line. After saying this, Su Yu slowly stood up. Meng Tian followed closely behind. You don't have to follow me for the time being, Su Yu said. After the great battle, your demonic beasts suffered heavy casualties. Go to the nearest Tianya city to recuperate. If anything happens, I will inform you. Upon hearing this, Meng Tian felt as if he had been pardoned, and he immediately went to Tianya city. A day later, Su Yu rushed back to the Situ family's castle in the sky. This place was deserted. Only the formation was still burning quietly. As he thought of this, Su Yu used the communication jade pendant to send a message to Lady Situ, ordering her to lead her people back. Although the world was big, there weren't many places that were better defended than the Situ clan's sky castle. It would be a pity to abandon it like this. Then, Su Yu headed in the direction of the Shangguan family. Along the way, he found many corpses of the Situ family's members, who had been taken away by Cabinet Mistress Kongchan, as well as many from the Red Blood Palace. It must have been the doing of the Shao family's master who tried to kill them. As Su Yu flew past, he swept the crowd with his gaze. He didn't know whether Cabinet Master Kongchan had been killed or not. In terms of cultivation, Cabinet Master Kongchan was a 5th-grade almighty, so she was no match for the Shao's family master. While he was searching, Su Yu suddenly saw a small figure stumbling in the distance. Her eyes were filled with annoyance. I'm so pissed off. What kind of lousy place is this? Why do we have to go around and around again? Gongsun Wuxia was so angry that she puffed up her cheeks. Su Yu was stunned. When he sensed it carefully, he was surprised to find that the chaotic space ripples had already spread to this place. When they were fighting, the Situ clan's territory clearly hadn't been affected. How long had it been? Even this place had been affected. Huh? Su Yuxian? Gongsun Wuxia's eyes lit up, and she ran over in a zigzag manner, her rosy lips panting. Are you all right? Where are those 2 bastards? You got rid of him? Su Yu smiled. Yes, we're safe for the time being. Where are senior brother Shanliang and Lady Situ? Upon hearing this, Gongsun Wuxia said angrily, I get angry just thinking about it. Not long after we left, the space nearby started to become chaotic, and we all got separated. Is that so? Su Yu stood on the spot and looked at the boundlessly vast area of spatial disorder from afar. He felt an indescribable pressure in his heart. It was as if an invisible giant hand had grasped this huge area and was constantly clenching. As for Su Yu and the others, they were like ants in the palm of the hand. A wave of restlessness and uneasiness bubbled in Su Yu's blood. Let's go to the Shangguan family. Cabinet Mistress Kong Chan's corpse isn't here, so she might have already gone to the Shangguan family to meet up with Palace Master Hua. Suyu shook his head slightly and tried his best to keep his spirits up. Gongsun Wuxia tapped her chin, feeling slightly better as she followed behind Suyu, skipping and skipping. Both of them proceeded straight towards the Shangguan clan, but even after walking for a long time, they still hadn't reached their destination. Instead, their surroundings were getting more and more unfamiliar. Su Yu's sharp senses detected that the chaotic space in this place was becoming more frequent, and they would inevitably be transported every few steps they took. Now, they had no idea where they had been transported to. As for Su Yu, the pressure he felt became more and more intense. His restlessness and uneasiness also continued to increase. "What's going on?" Gongsun Wuxia complained again, her small mouth pouting. Strange spatial disturbances, one after another, just like a fishing net. Her words were unintentional, but when they fell into Su Yu's ears, they were like thunder. Fishing net, Su Yu seemed to have grasped something, and his heart started palpitating. Intermittently, the spatial disturbances they encountered along the way became more and more frequent. At first, there was a space transportation point with a circumference of dozens of miles. Then, it was a few miles apart. Now, it was a few meters apart. It was as if the space in the whole area had started to boil. In other words, it was like a giant fishing net, and it was time to retract it. A great sense of crisis engulfed Su Yu's heart. "Let's go quickly." Su Yu grabbed Gongsun Wuxia's wrist and used his soul eyes to try his best to avoid the space transportation. However, the further they went, the more frequent the spatial disturbances became. In the end, there was a space transportation point every half a meter. Su Yu held Gongsun Wuxia's hand tightly as he was dragged into the space transportation point. "What's going on?" Gongsun Wuxia cried out in panic. She also felt that some kind of change was getting more and more urgent, as if something was about to happen. Su Yu did not answer, because he realized that he could no longer feel the existence of any living beings. It was as if all the living beings had been swept away. No matter which unfamiliar area he was transported to, there was only dead silence. Swish! All of a sudden, a large silver lake appeared beneath Su Yu's feet. Su Yu recognized the lake. It was a huge lake that was under the jurisdiction of the Shangguan family, and the Shangguan family's residence was in the middle of the lake. Looking down, he saw the Shangguan family, but there was no one in the mansion. Not only that, but even the lake had lost all traces of life. It was as if all the living beings had been wiped out. It was also at this moment that the dense and boiling spatial disturbances came to an abrupt stop. Even the space had turned into a dead silence. The wind stopped. The clouds froze. The lake was calm, without the slightest ripple. It was as if the whole space was still, except for Su Yu and Gongsun Wuxia. Gongsun Wuxia shrank her neck, feeling a chill run down her spine. She could not help but lean closer to Su Yu. Su Yu focused his gaze. His transparent eye was suddenly unable to see through anything, and the whole world was becoming hazy and darker. After half a cup of tea's time, the world was pitch black, without color or sound. It was like a dark hell that would never end. All of a sudden, a bright light appeared in the east. A dazzling sun rose slowly from the east, illuminating the world again. The sun. Gongsun Wuxia was stunned. The sky turned dark and the sky turned bright. Everything happened in half a cup of tea's time. She was at a loss. Then, another bright light shone from behind them. Looking back, a blazing sun rose in the west as well. "There is a sun in the west too." Gongsun Wuxia did not continue, because suns had appeared in the south and north. Finally, even a sun appeared above their heads. There were 5 suns in the east, south, west, and center. Gongsun Wuxia opened her mouth wide, unable to comprehend the scene before her. 5 suns? Are we dreaming? That is not a sun, it is a person. We are not dreaming. We are in the 5-elemental heaven extinguishing formation. Beside her, Su Yu sighed deeply, his voice solemn. 5 golden light guards, we meet again. Su Yu looked up at the 5 golden moons. No wonder the spatial disturbances had been going on for days, and no wonder Su Yu felt increasingly restless and uneasy. It turned out that they were here. Back at the frozen river, Su Yu had escaped once by using the space vortex before the 5-elemental heaven extinguishing formation was formed. This time, they had sealed off the 5-elemental heaven extinguishing formation for hundreds of millions of miles. Su Yu had nowhere to run. Swish! The 5 blazing suns emitted extremely dazzling golden light, embellishing the whole world with golden light. Every blade of grass and every tree seemed to be carved from gold. Among the 5 blazing suns, 5 majestic figures, crowned with the sun, moon, and stars on their heads, looked down at Su Yu, who was on the vast land. Chapter 928. Yeah, we meet again. The blazing sun over his head said indifferently, You escaped when we were in the frozen river. I've been looking for you for a whole year. The leader of the bright light guards sighed softly. He was in no hurry to capture Su Yu. In other words, Su Yu was already a fish in the net, so why was there a need to capture him? However, they had never considered whether this fish had the power to tear apart the fishing net. It's the same question as last time. Do you want to come with us, or do you want to bring your dead body back? The leader of the Golden Light Guards was as cold as ever. Su Yu replied calmly, Don't you want to know why the Central Prefecture's king wants to capture me? Dead or alive? The leader of the Bright Light Guards said, We'll only carry out the Central Prefecture's king's orders, and we won't ask for the reason. If you're trying to tempt us, you don't have to waste your breath. How could they not understand that the Central Prefecture's king wanted the 5 of them to work together to capture a small fairy? Moreover, they had to bring him back regardless of whether he was dead or alive. It was obvious that this person had something that the Central Prefecture's king wanted. Furthermore, it was an extremely valuable item. They understood, but they also understood the price of betraying the Central Prefecture's king. No one in the world could save them. Su Yu replied calmly, I'm not trying to tempt you. I just want to ask you why you're helping a villain? Do you know what he did in the Zhenlong continent, and what he did to the previous Central Prefecture's king, Shenichen? The expressions of the 5 Golden Light Guards changed at the same time. The leader of the Golden Light Guards squinted. You know about Shenichen and the existence of the Zhenlong continent? Gongsun Wuxie, who was at the side, rolled her eyes. She had heard many shocking secrets from Su Yu. The previous Central Prefecture's king, Shenichen, who was about to be crowned as the emperor, unexpectedly died because of the current Central Prefecture's king? Su Yu said, It seems like all of you are aware of this, yet you are still willing to be used by him after all these years. Disappointment could be seen in his eyes. The leader of the Golden Light Guards said indifferently, So what if he knows? The people of the world struggled in the world, who did not want to survive. The Central Prefecture's king is like this, and so are we. So what if he slaughtered hundreds of millions of lives? So what if he plotted against Shenichen? In my opinion, to be able to take a step forward on the path of cultivation, any sacrifice is worth it. Since he can give us the resources we want, we will naturally be used by him. The leader of the Bright Light Guard said, What's the point of asking so many questions? To them, a person who was about to die was superfluous. Su Yu replied calmly, Yes, and the meaning behind it is that I am sure that no one has died in vain under my hands. He wouldn't kill innocent people, even if the 5 Golden Light Guards were the Central Prefecture's king's men. After clarifying the whole story, they were still willing to commit crimes for the Central Prefecture's king. If they died, Su Yu wouldn't blame himself. Oh? Not only do you have the courage to resist us, but you also have the confidence to kill us. The leader of the Bright Light Guards was surprised, and he could not help but laugh. Young man, your spirit is commendable. Suyu took out a wooden box from his sleeve. When the wooden box appeared, it immediately emitted an incomparably dense wood-attributed aura. Faint ripples appeared in the deathly still space. Inside the wooden box, there were 3 drops of incomparably pure liquid, each drop as bright as a crystal. Even in the absolute seal of the wooden box, it emitted an incomparable vitality, as if every drop of crystal was the source of life. The Golden Light Guard's leader's smile faded, and he looked shocked. Life Force Fountain? It's the original life liquid condensed by the All Creations Stage 6 and above Mu people. Wisps of blazing heat flickered in the eyes of the 5 Golden Light Guards at the same time. The legendary Life Force Fountain was condensed by the All Creations Stage 6 and above Mu people, and it could allow them to live for another 1,000 years. For them, who were in urgent need of a breakthrough, 1,000 years was a rare and precious treasure in the world. Even if you swallow this thing, it won't protect your life, the leader of the Bright Light Guard said. Hand it over to us and we'll give you a quick death. Suyu's eyes were indifferent. He shook his head and said, You've misunderstood. I swallowed it not to save my life, but to make it easier for me to kill you. When he finished speaking, Suyu took out a drop and swallowed it on the spot. An enormous wave of vitality flooded Suyu's body like a tidal wave. Suyu's old face changed rapidly. His white hair gradually darkened and turned silver. His wrinkled and calm face gradually recovered, becoming the face of an 18-year-old youth. His skin was smooth like jade, his facial features handsome, and his eyes were bright and full of expression, as if the vast starry sky was hidden within. His hands also returned to normal, as fair as jade. In an instant, the old man turned into a handsome, silver-haired youth. Gongsun Wuxia was dumbfounded as she witnessed the transformation. When she stared at Su Yu's youthful face, she felt as if a celestial being had descended to the mortal world. His elegance and handsomeness, coupled with his indifferent and otherworldly temperament, made him seem otherworldly. At the same time, his pitch-black eyes gradually changed. His left eye was emitting a faint purple light, while his right eye was a wine red. His eyes were emitting different colors. At first glance, he was definitely not human, which made him look even more mysterious. It really is you. The pupils of the leader of the Bright Light Guards shrank slightly. The youthful face in front of him was the portrait that the Central Prefecture's king had given them. In the beginning, they had hunted down an old man several times, so they had been apprehensive. But now all their doubts had been dispelled. Suyu stood with his hands clasped behind his back. Even in the face of the 5 great Bright Light Guards, he was calm. You've been hunting me for a year. It's time to put an end to this, Suyu said. For the past year, there had been a sword hanging over his heart. Today it was time to face it head-on. The leader of the Bright Light Guards stared at Suyu, who was emitting vitality, and said, Be careful, he has revealed his real body. Don't be careless. Use the 5 elemental heaven extinguishing formation. The silver-haired youth in front of him had a record of killing the Blood Emperor. Among the 5 of them, only the leader of the Bright Light Guards could exchange 100 blows with the Blood Emperor, while the others would be defeated within 10 blows. Yet, Suyu had been able to erase the Blood Emperor from the world without anyone noticing. So, he must have some amazing means. The 5 majestic figures immediately weaved signs with their hand. All of a sudden, the sky was filled with an underworld voice. White clouds were rolling in all directions, and the wind was howling. The space surrounded by the 5 blazing suns was trembling continuously. It was because it was being compressed. In the eyes of Suyu and Gongsun Wuxia, the figures of the 5 Bright Light Guards were getting bigger and bigger, and the sky was getting further and further away. In the eyes of the 5 great Bright Light Guards, Suyu and Gongsun Wuxia, who had been sealed, were being compressed and gradually shrinking. The 5 elemental heaven extinguishing formation could seal the space and compress it. If it was used in the deepest part of the formation, it could compress a world of 100,000 miles into the size of a palm. Once it was formed, the compressed space would be even more difficult to break. Even in all creation's stage 6 strong man would be firmly sealed, unable to break through the void and escape. However, Su Yu's eyes flickered. His left eye was glowing with a purple light, while his right eye was suffused with a red light. One purple and one red, intertwined into a divine light that blotted out the sky and the sun. It penetrated the compressed space and covered a radius of 100,000 miles. The golden light emitted by the 5 golden light guards could not offset the purple-red light, and they were all engulfed. Time and space flow backward. Su Yu bellowed. The vitality in his body was like a bottomless pit, and 10% of it was rapidly devoured. However, what was shocking was that within the area shrouded by the purple-red light, everything was flowing backward. Outside the formation, a lone goose flew over their heads. After flying for 1,000 feet, it actually flew back. The fish that had jumped out of the water returned to the water in the same way that it had jumped out, and then jumped out again. The rolling white clouds flowed backward in an eerie manner. The seal weaved by the 5 golden light guards reversed uncontrollably, returning to the state when they had just weaved the seals. The space, which had clearly been compressed by half, gradually expanded and returned to its normal state. Time was flowing backward, and so was space. Only Su Yu and Gongsun Wuxie, who was extremely close to him, were not affected. They witnessed the reversal of time and space. Gongsun Wuxie's big eyes were wide open, as if she was in a dream. She turned her head with difficulty and looked at Su Yu beside her. She had the urge to look up at the god of time and space. Controlling time and space. What kind of great path magical power was this? There was confusion in the eyes of the 5 golden light guards. They clearly remembered that they had already performed the 5 elemental heaven extinguishing formation. But right now they were in such a state. Only the leader of the golden light guards retained the remnants of his memory. He immediately gasped. Time and space are flowing backward. Su Yu nodded lightly. Yes, you must have wondered how Xuedi died. Today I'll let you experience it once. The wine-red light in his right eye dissipated, and only his left eye shone with purple light. Time flow backward. Su Yu stared at the 5 golden light guards with his left eye. The boundless rays of the purple clouds locked them firmly. A shocking scene appeared. Their bodies changed at the same time. They degenerated from their middle-aged state to their youthful state. At the same time, their cultivation also degenerated. At the same time, the vast mountains and rivers were also enveloped by the purple clouds. The mountains were shrinking at a speed visible to the naked eye, and the land was constantly changing its appearance. The silver lake dried up and turned into mulberry field. The 1,000-year-old ancient trees degenerated into seedlings and finally into seeds. The mansion of the Situ clan turned into a wasteland from what it once was. Everything had returned to the state it had been hundreds or thousands of years ago. The 5 golden light guards were the same. Before long, their middle-aged bodies turned into middle-aged youths. Their cultivation returned to the state they had been in before. Before this, they had all had the cultivation of all creation stage 2, and the leader of the golden light guards had the terrifying cultivation of all creations stage 3. But now, the 4 golden light guards had regressed to all creations stage 1. The leader of the golden light guards had regressed to all creations stage 2. Their cultivation had been reversed to the state they were in 1,000 years ago, and the process had not stopped. They were still regressing, rapidly transforming into youths. The nature-defying metamorphosis made the 5 golden light guards turn pale with fright. They finally understood how Xuedi had died. He had been erased from the world by someone who had reversed time. Quick! There is no need to capture him alive. Kill him first. The leader of the golden light guards was shocked. He made a prompt decision to give up on capturing him alive and kill him instead. His heart trembled and a sense of crisis arose. He finally understood why the Central Prefecture's king had sent the 5 of them to hunt him down at the same time. It was because he was too dangerous. Divine Palm of Light. The leader of the Golden Light Guards yelled. The moonlight in his left palm was dreamy, and the sunlight gathered in his right hand. Soon, it condensed into 2 balls of light. It looked like his left hand was holding the Tai Yin, and his right hand was controlling the Tai Yang. Then, he put his palms together, and the Tai Yin and the Tai Yang fused into one palm. A ball of light like Tai Chi appeared, emitting light that shrouded the world. Suyu was no stranger to this scene. Back then, Xuedi had also used it. Chapter 929. The other 4 Golden Light Guards also performed the heaven-extinguishing Divine Palm, but they could only perform the second style, the Great Moon Palm. Suyu's face was calm. His left eye radiated purple light, and his right eye began to emit a wine-red light. Time and space reversal. Time and space began to reverse. The great moon in the palms of the 4 Golden Light Guards rapidly shrank and returned to the state of sealing. The great sun in the palm of the leader of the Golden Light Guards resisted stubbornly for a moment, then divided into the great sun and the great moon. Then, it continued to weaken. Ah, leader, I've reversed to the state of 9th grade Almighty. The 4 Golden Light Guards cried out in horror. Not only had their appearances returned to their youthful state, but their cultivation had also been restored to the state of 9th grade Almighty. They had been beaten back to the level of Almighty from stage 2 of all creations. The leader of the Golden Light Guards was not feeling well either. At this moment, he had fallen to stage 1 of all creations. Now, any of the all creations masters could easily kill the famous 5 Golden Light Guard. At this moment, the 5 Golden Light Guards felt a life and death crisis. They had never felt such a strong sense of crisis before. Take out your treasures and talismans immediately and kill them, the leader of the Golden Light Guards bellowed. All the Almighty, including him, immediately took out a large number of treasures and talismans, all of which were powerful objects with boundless power. However, what made their hearts beat wildly was that as soon as they were taken out, they were immediately affected by the time reversal. The talismans had not been detonated, but they were immediately returned to the state of ordinary white paper under the reverse of time. From white paper they were turned into raw materials, and then from raw materials they turned into nothingness. As for those treasures, the spirituality that they had painstakingly cultivated, as soon as they were taken out, they were returned to the state before they were born. Their spirituality was greatly lost, and the treasures gradually degenerated into the state of raw materials. No matter what they took out, they were returned to their final state by the reverse of time. As for the 5 Golden Light Guards, time was still reversing. The 4 Golden Light Guards had returned from 9th grade Almighty to 8th grade Almighty, then from 8th grade Almighty to 7th grade Almighty, then from 7th grade Almighty to 6th grade Almighty. Their appearances had returned to the state of their 18-year-old youth. As for the leader of the Bright Light Guards, he had also regressed back to his 18-year-old self. His cultivation had finally broken through the all creations and returned to the stage of an 8th grade Almighty. At this moment, a great crisis surged in the hearts of the 5 people of Golden Light. Unprecedented fear and uneasiness filled the depths of their hearts. From the all creations old monsters revered by billions of people, they had fallen to the middle and late stage divine masters. This kind of fear was like falling off a cliff. The fear of stepping on air reappeared in their hearts after thousands of years. As for Suyu, there was still a surplus of life force in his body, so he continued flowing them backward. The leader of the Golden Light Guards shouted, "Stop! Do you really want to fight to the death?" They were afraid. A moment ago they were the net, while Suyu was the fish. Now Suyu was the net while they were the struggling fish. When they were in the form of a net, they treated Suyu as an ant like gods. Now that it was their turn to become fish in the net, they were terrified. Suyu replied indifferently, "Even if the fish dies, the net might not be broken. Schwar, the leader of the Golden Light Guards, quickly took out a badge from his space ring. The badge shone with a golden light, and the words, Central Prefecture, were carved on it. It emitted wisps of frightening spiritual pressure. As for the token, it didn't change at all despite the time reversal. It wasn't affected at all. Suyu was very familiar with this badge, as he had almost died because of it in the past. This was because this badge could summon the projection of the Central Prefecture's king. Suyu couldn't forget that irresistible divine power. However, at this moment, Suyu was calm. Fine, I haven't seen the Central Prefecture's king for a long time. Let him show himself. The leader of the Golden Light Guards clenched his teeth. He couldn't care less about where Suyu's calmness came from, so he activated it. All of a sudden, the golden badge cracked open, and a ball of light shot out, projecting itself into the sky. A human figure, whose whole body was emitting golden light, suddenly appeared. The human figure was too dazzling, and it was difficult to look at it directly. It was impossible to see its face clearly. They could only vaguely see that it was a youth dressed in a golden yellow robe, who was sitting cross-legged in a secret chamber. Fifth guard, who is blocking your way again? The projection slowly opened its eyes. When they were fully opened, it saw the scene before it, and its eyes shone brightly. The figure, who was sitting cross-legged, stood up abruptly, and its eyes were fixed on Suyu. We meet again. The corners of the Central Prefecture's king's mouth curled up slightly, and an excited look appeared on his face. However, he quickly noticed the situation of the 5 guards, and his brows furrowed. Stop! The 5 Golden Light Guards were his rare subordinates, and he had spent a great deal of effort to nurture them. However, they had been tormented by Suyu to this state. Suyu was more dangerous than he had imagined. It was no wonder that the Blood Emperor had died at his hands. Suyu had no intention of stopping. He activated the last wisp of vitality and continued to make the 5 Golden Light Guards go back in time. The Central Prefecture's king's eyes turned cold. Fine, I gave them the badge of the projection clone with the intention of guarding against you. Now that you have shown up, don't even think about escaping this time. The Central Prefecture's king raised his hand and pressed down on the screen. All of a sudden, the space of 10,000 miles around Suyu froze in an instant. It was as if the surroundings were pressed down by an invisible mountain. The space was motionless, and Suyu couldn't even activate the space vortex. At this time, the Central Prefecture's king was more than 1 trillion miles away from this place. However, a trace of the projection's power was far superior to the 5 elemental heaven extinguishing formation that had been jointly set up by the 5 Golden Light Guards. What kind of height had the strength of the Central Prefecture's king reached? After blocking Suyu's escape route, the Central Prefecture's king grabbed Suyu coldly. A majestic force grabbed Suyu. To be precise, it was grabbing the divine 9-dragon cauldron in the depths of Suyu's soul, trying to seize it from the air. The same scene happened again. However, this time it was different. Suyu retrieved a golden leaf from the 9-jade spiritual pearl with one hand and threw it into the air. The delicate and small golden leaf grew with the wind and quickly became 1,000 feet in size, gently blocking the light screen. The force that was grabbing Suyu's soul stopped abruptly. In the Central Prefecture's palace, 1 trillion miles away, in a secret chamber, the Central Prefecture's king's face suddenly turned pale. His body trembled slightly, and he immediately withdrew his palm. In the center of his palm, a golden leaf imprint was faintly discernible. To his surprise, the golden leaf imprint was actually decomposing the energy in his body. In just a few breaths, 1/10 of his power had been decomposed by the golden leaf. This made the Central Prefecture's king's face change. With a low growl, he operated a mysterious force and forcibly erased the golden leaf imprint. The imprint turned into a golden grain and returned to the other side of the light screen. The leaf of the divine tree? How did he get it? The Central Prefecture's king composed himself and asked in surprise. He stared at the image on the other side, his expression changing constantly. Although the golden leaf had blocked the light screen, it did not prevent the Central Prefecture's king from seeing the situation on the other side. Suyu could also clearly feel that the Central Prefecture's king was still paying attention to this place. At that moment, the vitality contained in a drop of Enmu's fountain of life had finally been completely consumed. Looking at the 5 golden light guards again, they were all teenagers of 15 or 16 years old. The 4 golden light guards were all naked because their clothes had long been destroyed in the reversal of time. At that moment, they looked like 4 frightened teenagers, looking at Suyu in horror. Their cultivation had been forcibly reversed to the 3rd grade Almighty. As for the leader of the Golden Light Guards, he had been reversed back to the 5th grade Almighty. In fact, from their bodies, one could see how talented they had been when they were young. They had reached the middle stage Almighty at the age of 15 or 16. Looking at Jojo, there were only a handful of them. The leader of the Golden Light Guards also stared at Suyu in horror. Even the projection of the Central Prefecture's king had been sealed by him. A deep chill surged from the soles of his feet to his whole body. Central Prefecture's king, I have some small gifts for you. The light in Suyu's left eye dimmed, and moonlight condensed on his right palm, forming a bright moon. Pow! Suyu slapped it casually, and his palm bombarded the body of the nearest Golden Light Guard. The poor Golden Light Guard had no time to react, and his body was destroyed by the palm. His soul escaped, but it was suppressed by Suyu into the soul dimension, becoming a tonic for the evil god. It was a pity that, as an all creations stage 2 peerless strong man, his cultivation had regressed due to the reversal of time and space. Even the cultivation technique that he had cultivated in the past had been reversed to the state before he had cultivated it. Stop it! The Central Prefecture's king said in a stern voice, his eyes surging with anger. In his eyes, Suyu had always been an ant, not worth mentioning. But now, this ant had killed the subordinate that he had cultivated with great care in front of him. Moreover, he had used the heaven-extinguishing divine palm, the ultimate skill of the Central Prefecture's guards. This deliberate humiliation made the Central Prefecture's king angry for the first time. Haha, it's not over yet. Suyu smiled faintly. The wings on his back fluttered, and like a phantom, he performed the heaven-extinguishing divine palm repeatedly. Every time he paused, a golden light guard was killed. Wait. I won't trouble you anymore. Please let me go. What do you want us to do? Ah. I'll kill you. Ah. An unprecedented scene unfolded. The infamous 5 golden light guards were being massacred by a strong martial artist of the fairy realm. The 4 great golden light guards were killed by the heaven-extinguishing divine palm, regardless of whether they begged or resisted. Moreover, their bodies were shattered and their souls were suppressed. Gongsun Wuxie, who had witnessed the scene with her own eyes, was stunned and speechless for a long time. When she looked at Suyu, the look in her eyes had completely changed. She was filled with anticipation and excitement. And you? Suyu's face was covered in blood, and he smiled coldly as he looked at the leader of the Golden Light Guards. The leader of the Golden Light Guards had a grave look on his face, and he said in a low voice, "What is the meaning of your massacre?" In other words, Suyu had an unfair advantage. Suyu asked in reply, "Do you think I'm despicable, cruel, and unfair? Then, when you, the 5 great Golden Light Guards, hunted down a weak fairy junior and tried to take his life at every turn, did you ever feel that you were despicable, cruel, and unfair? Moreover, I'm the same age as all of you now. What's unfair about that? Being massacred by me only means that you were too incompetent when you were my age," Suyu said. Compared to their age, Suyu had killed them like slaughtering chickens and dogs. Chapter 930. In order to survive, he had no other choice. Of course, as a 1,000-year-old monster, how could he be willing to submit to a weakling other than absolute strength? He had many ways to undo the control, even if it was soul control. No need. However, what caused his expression to change drastically was that Su Yu did not even think twice. Su Yu grabbed the bloody bone palm and slapped it on his body. Puff, the leader of the Golden Light Guards, let out a blood-curdling scream as his body was smashed into pieces. Even his soul was not left behind. There were 2 reasons for killing him. Firstly, he had lived for thousands of years and was proficient in many techniques. Su Yu was not sure if the Son of Heaven's imperial soul could be countered. Secondly, unlike Meng Tian, Su Yu had absolute prestige, which made him submit to him willingly. However, the leader of the Bright Light Guards, an all-creation's old monster in the past, would he really follow a fairy junior without any complaints? After slaughtering the 5 Golden Light Guards, Su Yu looked at the light screen indifferently. How's the gift? The Central Prefecture's king watched Su Yu's actions indifferently. Then, his majestic figure twisted in the light screen and gradually dissipated. He said indifferently, "I accept your gift. When I come out of isolation, I will find you in person." Pop! The light and shadow shattered, leaving only the calm words of the Central Prefecture's king. The Central Prefecture's king was going to kill Su Yu in person. "I'll be waiting for you at any time," Su Yu said calmly. At this moment, the golden leaves gradually dissipated and turned into golden particles. Su Yu felt that it was a pity. The tree god had 3 original leaves, and every time he used one, he would have one less. However, thanks to the golden leaf, Su Yu's life was saved just now. Otherwise, he would have no chance of surviving when facing the projection of the Central Prefecture's king. Looking at the drifting golden grains, Su Yu shook his head and was about to turn around to collect the relics of the 5 Golden Light Guards. However, all of a sudden, Su Yu caught a glimpse of a special particle. The rest of the granules were golden in color and appeared very dim. Only this pellet was not only very full, but it also contained traces of a terrifying aura. That aura was different from the mighty power of all creations. It was an even more powerful and mysterious aura. Su Yu was curious, and he kept the golden bead. The moment he touched it, he felt his heart palpitate. It was as if he was facing a terrifying strong martial artist. Swallowing a mouthful of saliva fiercely, Su Yu kept the golden pellet properly, preparing to study it later. Then, he packed up the 5 great Bright Light Guards' belongings. Su Yu had taken all of their space rings. Finally, Su Yu looked at Gongsun Wuxia. She was still looking at Su Yu, while her face was filled with excitement. "Are you the person who killed the Blood Emperor?" Su Yu frowned. Gongsun Wuxia had heard everything from the side, and she knew a lot of his trump cards. Su Yu was hesitant about how to deal with Gongsun Wuxia. The most rational thing to do would be to silence Gongsun Wuxia, but this was also the last thing Su Yu could do. "Yes," Su Yu said indifferently, staring at Gongsun Wuxia, his mind racing. Gongsun Wuxia blushed when she heard this, and she looked shy for the first time. Her long eyelashes fluttered as she asked, Then, in Tianya City, it was you who saved me from the hands of the ghost Buddha, and you suffered a blow?" She was still unaware of the danger she was in. Su Yu thought for a moment, then nodded. "Yes." All of a sudden, Gongsun Wuxia's face was flushed with excitement. The Su Yu she hated turned out to be the ruthless demonic man, the mysterious youth whom she couldn't stop thinking about? Gongsun Wuxia accepted Su Yu's explanation easily because she had sensed the familiarity of the ruthless demonic man from Su Yu a long time ago. She had also witnessed the process of Su Yu's transformation from an old man to a handsome youth, as well as his domineering manner in which he killed the famous 5 great Bright Light Guards. She had already guessed most of it. Now, she just wanted to get confirmation from Su Yu. "Oh yeah. Brother Yuxian is the ruthless demonic man." Gongsun Wuxia's face was filled with excitement, and she jumped up and down excitedly. It was as if she was happier than if she had become the ruthless demonic man herself. "Is it worth being so happy about?" Su Yu asked. Gongsun Wuxia walked over with a smile and nodded. "Yes, I'm happy. I've always wanted to see you again, but I didn't expect you to be by my side all this time. Now that I think about it, how could there be such a coincidence in this world? I happened to be in danger, and the ruthless demonic man was passing by. He saved me and even took a palm strike for me. The corners of Gongsun Wuxie's mouth curled into a smile, and she looked relieved. I should have known that the ruthless demonic man was actually Brother Yuxian. As she spoke, Gongsun Wuxie approached him, and the faint fragrance from her body wafted into his nose. She blinked her long eyelashes and asked, "Can you let me see that curse?" Su Yu did not refuse. Spiritual energy revolved in his chest, and a ghostly face in the shape of an evil ghost appeared indistinctly. Gongsun Wuxie bit her lip, and an apologetic smile appeared on her face. "It's him, it's really him." Gongsun Wuxie's heart was filled with mixed feelings. She had always treated people with an innocent face, but now, a complicated expression that only a young girl could have appeared on her face. "I've found a way to stabilize the curse, and it will be removed when the time is right. Don't worry too much," Su Yu said. Upon hearing that, Gongsun Wuxie revealed a serene smile. Yes, would the ruthless demonic man who could obliterate the 5 great golden light guards and Xue Di be trapped by a small curse? Taking a light breath, Gongsun Wuxie raised her head. Her eyes, which were as bright as purple gemstones, blinked gently as she fixed her gaze on Su Yu. It was as if she was trying to engrave the handsome silver-haired figure in the depths of her mind and never forget it. After a while, she slowly closed her eyes and said, "Come on, I'm ready." Su Yu looked down at her. "You know what I'm going to do?" "Yes." Gongsun Wuxie nodded and forced a smile. "Brother Yuxian, you've made an enemy of the Central Prefecture's king, and you've been hiding your identity until now. You don't want people other than yourself to know, do you? You also want to keep the matter of getting rid of the 5 great golden light guards a secret. I saw it, so I won't live. There had always been only one kind of person who could keep a secret, and that was the dead. Most living people were not reliable, and even if they were, there was a certain chance that their souls would be searched and their memories discovered. Gongsun Wuxie had witnessed everything and was prepared to be silenced. "Aren't you afraid of death?" Su Yu stared at her and asked. Gongsun Wuxie's petite and thin body swayed. "I am, but I'm content. Anyway, because of my physique, I won't live for long. I'm content to see the ruthless demonic people before I die. Besides, I'm dying to keep your secret." She was still young, but she was already prepared to face death and appeared very calm. Su Yu stared at her and was silent for a long time. "Do you have any last wishes?" Gongsun Wuxie thought about it and shook her head. Then, she nodded again. "I want to know your real name." Her intuition told her that Su Yuxian must be a fake name. Su Yu was silent for a long time, so long that Gongsun Wuxie's face was full of disappointment. Then, a gentle voice reached her ears. "The people of Jiuzhou call me Su Yuxian, and the people of the mysterious Heavenly Divine Pavilion call me Inu. Only the people of my hometown call me by my real name, Su Yu. Su Yu, Su Yu." Gongsun Wuxie whispered it twice, and her delicate face glowed again. She smiled sweetly. "So that's your name. I have no last wishes. Come on." Then, she closed her eyes again. A pair of fan-like eyelashes fluttered gently in the wind, showing the fear and terror in the depths of her heart. Not fearing death was just a facade. "Yes." Su Yu nodded, reached out a finger, and flicked it on her forehead. Then, he retracted it. "It's over." Feeling the pain, Gongsun Wuxie rubbed her forehead and opened her eyes. "Don't you want to kill me?" Su Yu said calmly, "There's no need for that." Since he had decided to leave the Red Blood Palace, what was the point of Gongsun Wuxie knowing or not? Gongsun Wuxie's eyes gradually brightened, like a luminous pearl. Su Yu glanced around. The 5 great golden light guards were dead, and the space that had sealed this part of the world had already dispersed. People from the Shangguan family and the Red Blood Palace were arriving one after another. "Wuxie, farewell." Take care of yourself. Su Yu cupped his hands at her, stepped into the void, and chose to leave. Gongsun Wuxia stared at his back, her small face full of smiles. After a long while, she crushed a jade pendant. Soon, an old man dressed in a linen robe came across the void. The old man looked anxious. When he saw that Gongsun Wuxia was safe and sound, he heaved a sigh of relief. Then, he said with concern, "Young Cliff Master, why did you only crush the jade pendant now and transmit your location? The 5 great divine guards of the central prefecture sealed this space, and I thought you were trapped." The old man was the All Creation's elder who had been secretly protecting Gongsun Wuxia for a long time. He was also the hidden senior Lan of the outer sanctum that Su Yu knew. However, in order to train Gongsun Wuxia, he would not protect her closely. He would only appear when she was in trouble. However, the 5 great divine guards of the central prefecture had appeared too abruptly, and the chaotic space had caused him to lose track of Gongsun Wuxia. Gongsun Wuxia smiled. "I'm fine, and I'm glad that those old things came to make trouble." Senior Lan frowned. "Young Cliff Master, have you seen the 5 great divine guards of the central prefecture? Does that mean that they recognized you and didn't dare to do anything to you?" If the 5 great divine guards of the central prefecture had recognized Gongsun Wuxia, they would have fled long ago. Gongsun Wuxia was not that easy to kill. She had a treasure on her that could summon the projection of the severed fairy Cliff Master. The All Creation's old monsters who knew her identity did not dare to lay a finger on her. Gongsun Wuxia shook her head with a smile. "No, they didn't recognize me." "That's strange. The 5 great divine guards of the central prefecture are not good people, and they are very vicious. In Jiuzhou, they are as vicious and merciless as the Blood Emperor. If they didn't recognize you, why would they let you go?" Senior Lan said as he twirled his beard. Gongsun Wuxia was overjoyed. It was as if she had learned another secret about the ruthless demonic people. Who knows? Maybe they were busy with other things and didn't pay attention to me. Senior Lan thought about it. Despite his doubts, he could only accept this explanation. The 5 great divine guards of the central prefecture are using their unique skill, the 5 elemental heaven extinguishing formation. It seems that they have sealed a large space to capture someone or a demonic beast. It makes sense that they didn't pay attention to you.